Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, fellow YouTubers. Airy Sky here with the video. I want to get the disclaimer out of the way first. For some of you watching this is just my own kind of hypothetical opinions, nothing more, nothing less. If you're interested in Social Security information, well, you can wait for another update. For the rest of you out there, the reason I'm doing this video today is the topic I want to on, but I also want to give you my own honest thoughts, okay? Literally thoughts. And they're big thoughts, okay? And I don't want people pointing saying I'm full of beans. So without that, and with that said, these are just my own opinions, okay? And I'm going to try to be correct as possible. And, you know, if you need some sources, I will basically tell you where I've got sources, all right? So we're all somewhat on the same page, all right? So how are we doing in the country today? Are we going into a depression? Are we going to be a third world country? I don't know, but I can tell you that this subject is scary. The reason it's scary is look around. People are not going to work, okay? Right now, they say that we're at the biggest, worst recession almost to the Great Depression. Fortunately, the unemployment benefits has not been counted yet. Unemployment spiked in the 29 to 33. Unfortunately for us, it looks like it might get it a lot worse. So why do you say we're in a depression, okay? I'll tell you why before we get into it. Federal government is pushing for people to go back to work. Unfortunately, there's not enough testing kits. That is going to slow down or put everything at a grinding halt for productions. Hospitals are doing their best, but there's not enough testing kits. Rural Americans that didn't have a stay-at-home order in place, those areas are spiking with the coronavirus. People are getting the notices. Some places aren't opening till June. Other places into May. Some people are looking at moving May to June, etc. They can't contain it. So people are sitting there going, are we going into a Great Depression or recession? Well, we got to look at it from a couple of points of view. Now, a lot of states have issued protection orders so they can't evict people that are behind on rent in apartments because they don't have an income or money. Some people are trying to apply for funds, the cash assistance, you know, from the state to help out emergency because of this problem. Fortunately, that only goes so far. You know, they'll get a monthly stipend of like $300 to $1,200. $1,200 being if you have 8+ people in your household. I mean, that would mean you're like a father and a mother and 6 kids. And then you get like $1,181 a month. I mean, that's like, you know, a single person's $363. But point is, the emergency funding, you know, it's a big, complicated issue. So what's it say for the people? Well, that's why I'm here to talk to you for a bit. You see, the depression, people are basically panic shopping, okay? Panic shopping. The middle class that have money, okay? Here's how it works. Middle class went out panicked when they got no jobs, okay? And that basically caused a ripple effect. The ripple effect was for anyone who was working, right? From billionaires and millionaires are complaining about the same thing. They're panic buying. They thought, oh, the president's right, everything's going to go good. Instead, everything went down the toilet, right? Went down to literally the Johnny flusher. Basically down the toilet. What happened? People sat there and started to worry. Toilet paper shortages started to go through the roof. And then, as soon as that calmed down, people started sucking up all the food. I mean, I don't know how many times you go to Walmart or Costco or Walmart, Costco, Target, or Amazon, and you can't literally find anything. It's because the economy. But let me put it to you this way. Are we going into a depression? It might be that way. Right now, the IMF said we're going to be in a serious recession. It could turn into a depression. The president's basically sitting there trying to divert a depression. Fortunately, the problem with the Depression is simple. He's basically not putting enough money to the programs that's needed. Military? Oh, let's just keep funding the military. Well, we do need our military, but, putting it toward new aircraft carriers and stuff is a little wonky, in my opinion. If the carriers can be used for another 20 years, even if they're 50 years old, use them. I mean, look at Starfleet. Starfleet uses 100-year ships, okay? So, the second problem with it is the people in America is not seeing the money. That is part of the Depression, basically. They're not seeing the money. Like one of my viewers, Sutton, she hasn't seen her money. Bettina, others, they're all suffering to no end. And this is where people need to sit there and say, listen. Don't rattle your saber, just listen. The updates I give are very important updates. That helps you decide when your money might be coming. But my thing is are we headed to a depression? Well, let's look at it. With factories almost at a grinding halt, it's not considered an essential business, okay, unless it's food. And food products are going to be getting harder and harder. If you read about the meat packing plants in Texas and Oklahoma and other places, they're shutting down due to this virus. They're taking extra precautions, but still, they're shutting down. If meat factories or processing plants aren't doing it, that would leave you with one alternative. Canned goods. And some of our foods we get, people say, oh, we get everything in the country. No, a lot of fruits and vegetables are imported. Those fruits and vegetables are rotting sometimes on the docks, trying to get out of the country. And sometimes they're actually rotting in cargo ships because they can't actually transport into the country. They're at like special dockings where the cargo ships are basically told you're staying in this port or you can't go to our port. They've quarantined a lot of countries. So some of the food is not even getting around. You see where I'm going with this? So a lot of food is being wasted. And then people starve. Well, how's our food supply right now? People say, oh, we're not going to have any problems. Maybe for you, but right now, it's all good. The problem is eventually we're going to see something if we can't contain this. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it'll be contained. Well, look at it from my perspective. I talk about, everything else. The government, the only thing I can say negative about the government is they need to listen to their people more. And that is where they need to listen to their people more, because their constituents are hurting. They sit there and they bail out the big companies and the airlines and say, patting everyone on the back, going, oh yeah, and you guys are suffering for it. I mean, look. Rumor has it, I read an article the other day, and I'm still confirming this, but Warren Buffett sold his portions of Delta Airlines. Mr. Buffett himself knows something's coming down the pipe. What do you think he would just basically pack up and sell up Delta, right? Depression. You go to the grocery store, okay? We've been in this since March, late April, early March, okay? Like March 3rd, when I remember hearing the toilet paper was gone. March 3rd. Today is April 18th. Right? That's, 7 weeks or so? 7 weeks, people have been getting unemployed and laid off, and, And so what's that tell you? It tells you right there there's a big problem, good morning, Robert. Yes, but, there's people out there that do care. Like for me, I'm kind of concerned, with the story you told me the other night. I was just shocked, that, there should be more resources for you. I mean, I mean, I'm looking at resources right now for groceries. Me, I'm looking for resources, to get groceries brought in. But, so what's that mean for you all on the depression spectrum? Well, let me put it to you this way. Right now, people's rents, if they can't pay well, then they can't do it in government's orders or governor's orders. But when it's lifted, that's when they can start making a new plan of attack on people to get rid of them. Now, there's a lot of people out there in the world who say, are we going into this? Honestly, I can't tell you, but from what it looks like, the entire month of April is going to be completely shut down, okay? President demands the businesses open. Then he says the states are in charge. Problem is the governors of the states are in charge. Unfortunately, the governors want to protect people, and the way to do that is to keep the businesses closed. This isn't like everyone's liquid assetting their money for because banks are failing. So this is a bigger problem because the unemployment's up there. Next week we're going to get the new numbers, and it's just going to keep going through the roof. And that might basically push out, and this is something a lot of people don't like. You got to look at it from the political side of things. Push our current commander-in-chief out of office in November when he gets voted out because of handling this. I mean, he knows he's got to get this right. Unfortunately, the problem is you also got to think about it from the Democrats, your first-line responders. Now, I disagree with giving every first responder out there $25,000. If you're going to give every hospital worker and every EMT worker and every first responder 25 grand, then every American out there should have 25 grand. Now, remember what I did earlier, okay? Like Robert said, the government doesn't care about you. They don't care about me either. They don't care about anyone. So, for example, Robert, is posting this let me correct myself. The $2,000 payments, okay? If you decided to give $2,000 a month for 12 months, that's not including medical, that's not including food stamps, right? That equals to $816 billion. I mean, literally, we can't print ourselves out of this. I mean, literally. Now, let me tell you what happens, okay? Last night, I did some research on the subject, watching several financial videos and depressions and understanding. And I was drinking some cognac last night. Chloe picked me up a fresh bottle of cognac, different blend. Really good, by the way. I was sitting there last night and she was sleeping, and I was basically in shock seeing the what's going to happen possibly in a depression. I mean, look, our factories are at a grinding halt. We have to bail out the airlines, okay? But so many people say you're not going to be traveling this year, so why bail the airlines out? Or businesses. You do know Senate and Congress, they usually don't own their own planes, and they don't charter, so they have to fly. So, etc. But I've been doing a lot of research on this topic, and there's a lot of points I want to bring up, okay? One is the depression, okay? It brought the entire economy to a grinding halt. There's lovely people like Robert that are struggling. Robert said in a comment that he's in a hotel. He's got a place to live, thank God. There's people living in a cardboard box under a bridge right now because they're suffering too, and I feel bad for them. They're suffering. I read a report the other day that homeless shelters across America, they're getting spikes in coronavirus and they can't contain it. There's not enough hospital beds. And yet people say, oh, we're fine. We've got to contain. Yeah, if you contain everyone into a old hotel like in Seattle, it's a homeless shelter, then yeah. But look at the economy, okay? People can't go to work. There's 22 million people out of work. We'll get more numbers next week. Unemployment. People can't get through to the unemployment office. People can't get the resources they need to get help. And when they do find out about the resources, like where I live on an island, There's volunteers risking their lives to help the elderly and the disabled get what they need. That's like being a citizen soldier and giving duty and country before your own needs. And I applaud you and I thank you for it. The problem is the economy is going to take a crunch really bad if we don't contain this. I know the president wants to open businesses, but a lot of states, it's not time. Like New York can't just open the door tomorrow, flip a switch, and all is gravy. It doesn't work that way. And Washington's working with Oregon and California, but the models say that we can open up safely in May. But what about certain areas that could respike? They just tested people, and I believe it was China, that's been retested for this virus. They got it a second time. So there is no foolproof. Bill Gates basically stated that everyone, might be in lockdown possibly till 18 months or something because of the, one of the people that watched my videos, Don Capo, I had to sit down and actually look up some information because, people are basically suffering. And now let's go into the economic impact it could cause. Right now we're going into a recession, but it could spin into a depression, okay? Grocery stores are limiting beans, rice, dry beans and dry rice. So if you know how to prepare your beans, you're good. I know. I grew up with a mom who taught me sewing needs, how to cook, how to prep beans, stuff that some people don't even have those skills today. I used to do before a long time ago, roofing. My back's gone. Other things. So when people sit there and look, back then people had a lot more skills to mend their clothes instead of going out and buying a new shirt when the shirt's got a tear in it. They used to get a sewing kit with multiple colors of thread and match it up properly and sew their clothes or, whatever. Nowadays, people don't have that. They just order online and order online and order online and, and that the economy is hitting hard because people don't have that luxury, okay? The first week that people were unemployed, toilet paper went out. There's still a toilet paper and paper towel a burden, okay? Shortage. Then the second week was food. Now, I go to the grocery store like once a week, and Chloe just went off island because of a little problem. She got 86 from the stores here. The owner of the grocery stores on our island basically 86'd her because she was in a bad mood, pissy, and for her out she wore. I can still shop there, but Chloe yesterday went to a different island and found out certain items are more expensive. But thing is a lot of people are sitting there saying, oh, well, I need the economy to stimulate me in my bank so I can go buy, junk. Now, there's a lot of people out there that want to spend most of their money on groceries and maybe they want to buy a Switch or a PlayStation or a computer or something. Let me tell you what's going to happen, okay? The disabled every month get their checks. So they're not going to hurt that bad, but they will. The reason for it is if there's a food shortage, they can't get food. They can go hungry. So you got to have a backup plan. Secondly, if you have a chest freezer and a mini fridge and with a little freezer there and then a main fridge, fill them up. You don't know what's going to happen next, okay? Right now, everything is at a grinding halt. That means that people who are waiting for their stimulus checks are hurting. New York basically came out and said they have 10 weeks to pay for unemployment in the city of New York or New York State, and then they have to ask for federal government help. Other people are now seeing their $600 applying for food stamps and Medicaid while they're waiting. Other people can't get their business loans done because there's no more money. So the government has to pick up the pace and do it. And then other people are now finding out there are glitches in the Treasury Department, which means some people got paid Wednesday. Other people didn't get to see their checks. And the people that are suffering need their stimulus checks, and they're not getting it. The people like others, like one person was stating the other day in a comment that, the people that are hurting should come first, people on Social Security, disability, or retirement, unless you are hurting severely. Robert told me his story. Then Robert should get his, just like a veteran should get theirs first. Unfortunately, with the glitches and politics, it's basically made everything to a grinding halt. Now, I don't like talking about a lot of things, but look at the big picture here. The big picture is, are we going into a depression? Possibly. And that's because, I'll tell you what's going on. YouTube is taking a long time to process videos because too many people are making update videos on $2,000 a month the government's going to give you per month. Government ain't going to make a deal with that. They might water it down, or they might just throw it out the window. 2 people recommended this. It's not going to be law. It won't pass. Literally. And there's people that live paycheck to paycheck that are struggling the worst. And because of it, those people are hurting. And now I've read a lot of places are taking cash. They're like, cash is it can transmit the the virus. So you figure that out. Cash might be useless. People aren't allowed to hoard gold anymore. Big deal. So what happened? The economy tanked. Right now, electricity companies are sparing people, so if they're struggling. I just got a letter basically recently saying my electricity subsidies finally came in after 4 months. But it made me wait so long. I had to cut into money that it was supposed to be used for other things because of high electricity. The economy, eventually people are going to have to live in the dark possibly and buy basically canned stuff and eat canned stuff that's cold, or buy a little camp stove to cook with their windows open. As long as the fumes go out the window, they'll be using those, or maybe lantern or something. Gasoline prices are going down. They say we might see it like in the 1980 prices where it's $1 or less. I remember when I was growing up, it was like 74 cents a gallon. So it could be about $1. Now, the oil people kept producing more oil than needed, and now the oil went down to under $20 a barrel. The rich oil countries are basically panicking. Now there's more. With everything coming to a grinding halt, okay, the second week was food that was being taken and stockpiled. Third week was hair dye. And people are spending a little bit of money buying like trimmers for their dogs, to trim their dogs, and hair shaving trimmers for themselves at home trimming kits and stuff. Stuff that they wouldn't think about buying. They're buying because they know they're hurting. Could have saved on it, grew your hair out, be a hippie, because, food's more important than the the shaving, or the, haircut. But look at the economy. If you get Chloe on board, she can probably explain what she saw yesterday at the one grocery store. Chloe, how was the grocery store? Empty, full? Some places are full. For example, the grocery stores here, they're not keeping everything in stock. Why? Because they're probably basically suppressing the people. And that is hurting. We live in a tourist trap, okay? The tourist economy is down the toilet. They're talking about not even opening till June minimum, which is going to hurt everyone. So will this bring into a depression? Possibly. Because A, there's not enough money to go around right now. And the people that are suffering are only going to buy the essentials and try to pay their bills and survive. Everyone is hurting to no end. The virus is keeping everyone indoors. Eventually, people are going to have to ask themselves, food or internet? Then they'll choose the food. Then their internet will be shut off. Then that might lighten the load. Too many people. Right now they say there's like 7 million people using the internet daily. Sorry, not 7 million, 7 billion people. And so the internet is sluggish. Then you have the other problems. with no money means not purchasing big ticket items. Now remember, I said hair dye was week 3. Week 4 was body wash, shampoo, conditioner, dish soap, etc. Laundry soap, etc. People are hoarding those now. And the commodity market isn't doing too bad, but also the commodity market eventually will run out of people will run out of hoarding this stuff will run out of money and won't be able to buy these items, which means they're stuck with extra toilet paper, they're stuck with extra shampoo and conditioner, which they'll use, but the government at that point, they're stockpiling to make sure they can get through at home, being stuck at home. People are buying flour more. Flour's running out. Wheat flour, rye flour, buckwheat flour, regular white flour. Sugar is running out. People are starting to bake more. Baking more brings in more on the expensive side of gas, propane, or electricity. I mean, if you look at it, people are doing what they can to be at home. Some people have their bread makers. They're making bread every day, making bread at home and making sandwiches. Sandwich meats are going out. They're getting harder and harder to find. Bacon's going out because people are using it. Brings us to another thing on the food chain. Because companies basically have to close their factories or their meat packaging warehouses because of coronavirus, that means meats and fish are going to be harder to get, which means people will be going to ramen, which is sold out, or soups, or canned goods, But with distilleries closed, like in Kentucky, booze prices will go up eventually because it'll be harder to get booze. Farmers that grow tobacco plants to make cigarettes and pipe tobacco and dip, that's going to go up. So if you look at the commodity market, eventually the supply and demand is going to be more demand, less supply, and prices will go up, which will hurt and could bring in a great recession or depression. People have to stop smoking cigars and pipe tobacco and cigarettes and dip because the prices will go through the roof. What does that tell you? It tells you the economy, unless they can get factories open and have plenty of testing kits to test daily and to isolate the people that are sick, we're going to see probably a second and third wave of this virus, which is going to hurt the economy more. And because of it, people, and this is a big one, the consumer spending is down. That's one of the big numbers, consumer spending. Consumer spending is down, and no one's buying big ticket items. There's people out there that want to invest in the digital things like Guild Wars, Elder Scrolls, Black Desert Online, WoW. You can't eat digital stuff, okay? There's other people that might have to basically sit there after a while, even if their credit cards are maxed out to get them by, and they can't extend their credit. Those are the people that might have to make a decision later because they have their kids at home to cut out Disney Plus or Stars or Amazon Prime or other things, like Peacock or YouTube TV or whatever. The other online streaming services will come to a grinding halt too because people won't be able to afford, quote unquote, these luxury items. Right now they're using it to keep the kids busy. They're utilizing the internet. The internet's bogged down. Too many people are doing YouTube vids. Other people are doing too many streaming services on various things. Starz, Showtime, HBO, Cinemax, Discovery, which is Disney, etc. So they're bogging the system down, and eventually they're going to have to cut corners and say food or internet. And food, and if they cut their internet out, they cut out their subscriptions to their digital content, the digital streaming services, just to survive. And that means those companies might be on the teetering of problems. Disneyland and Disney World closed down. Disney is basically taking a big hit. The only thing probably floating them is their stores. Most people aren't buying Disney stuff. All these companies are making deals, trying to get people to spend money foolishly to keep them in business, like the Disney store and stuff. So many people are panic buying, and other people are comfort buying. I read a report the other day on CNN about Amazon people are buying foolishly. Now, remember, I just said the fourth week of sales was shampoo, conditioner, body wash. Week 5 was board games. Now, the hard time getting board games, the decks of cards. I went to the store the other day, I couldn't find any decks of cards. Me and Chloe play Uno and Crazy Eights. So we're good. And then you have other issues. The other issues are the economy. The economy is literally taking a dump. There's people out there that have to prioritize what they need to buy and not buy. People are jacking the prices up on eBay and Amazon for stuff, candies, toilet papers, paper towels. Trying to make some extra money themselves by thinking someone will pay $90 for 24 rolls of toilet paper. These people, there's desperate people who might do that. But me, one guy basically said recently he bought a bidet as a sanitary way to, he had the money to put it into it, so it's good for him. Problem is the rest of the people can't afford a bidet. Where we live, we don't get the option of putting one in our bathroom because we live in an apartment. So, and so look at the big picture. People are going to start to cut services. They might have to cut their cell phone service out. They might have to ask for a government phone while being on Medicaid. They might have to do other things. The problem is everyone is freaking hurting. And that is the problem. No one's buying big ticketed items. People sit there and say, well, my check comes from buying a Switch or a new TV. The Switch, that's cool. The TV, if you have a working TV, why basically invest in a new one in this economy? You might make a purchase from, say, Walmart, and they ship you a TV, but you can't eat a TV. No one honestly knows what's happening. Congress knew that the government was going to be shut down until May, minimum. So they made sure that everyone got a stimulus check through Pelosi and the Democrats so you can eat and pay bills. But that's not going to be enough for $1,200. So they're trying to make a deal for more. Pelosi wanted to do $2,400. Let's just say you get $2,400 and you get this new stimulus check in June. May or June, right? That $2,400 goes out the window just like that. Then what? What do you have to live on then? Then you're stuck in the same boat you are, and the economy still teeter-totters. Thing is it's going to be a continuous cycle. So one guy said, oh, let's just give everyone $2,000 a month. Oh, he even said that's a pipe dream. You do know that's $816 billion for everyone in America for an entire give or take, 816 to $1 trillion. Fortunately, the economy can't take that right now. Where are we going to get the money? The money's not free. One of our subscribers or watchers said that himself. It concerns him that grandchildren, great-grandchildren did. I saw a story last night while drinking some cognac of one of the guys that was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's a top financial guy. You know Ben Stein?
Yeah.
He basically said that, from what he says, grocery stores are needing employees all the time. Out here, grocery stores are full. They're not taking anyone. People that work there, they're still working there. Everyone else, they're not working there. So what happens? Everyone literally is hurting, So I wanted to share that with you. He says that everyone is struggling, right? Farmers can't get their crops. So maybe the farmers that hire you literally illegals for a lower paid should hire people that will take menial tasks right now to work, and harvest the crops. He says anyone who's a child right now, I know child labor laws, but he recommended children get a job to help the struggling economy, and they would learn something from this. He already said we're going into a depression, okay? Nobody is wrong. He's a great guy, and I'm just surprised. I heard he's Jewish, so I'm surprised he actually...
It'll get to a point where they'll pretty much, with schools, they'll cut out high school, they graduate the 8th grade and go to work.
Possibly, but right now they're trying to open up a digital school for everyone. Unfortunately, if mom and pop can't afford the internet, then those kids can't go to school and use their Chromebooks to learn. So technically,
They'll be working instead.
But the problem is Right now the farmers haven't even thought about giving jobs to, the average Americans to float their income. Fast food's only working for takeout, so drive-through only. Or you go into a little restaurant like we have here. You go in and it's takeout only. And then you go outside and you wait for your food to be coming in. I mean, literally, just to keep these businesses afloat. The problem is the essential workers, no one knows what truly is essential and isn't. So people are up in the air. People are saying gun shops are essential. No. But when the gun factories can't keep producing guns and guns are being sold out like crazy, they're going to shut their doors. Then what's that mean? They're just like everyone else. Unemployment through the roof then. Factories like gun factories will go out. People are buying guns just in case for self-defense. Worried about their supplies being taken. And they have a reason to, but at the same time, we shouldn't be panicked right now. There's a lot of people out there living in fear, and they have a right to. They're fearing they're going to lose their home. They're fearing they're going to lose their supplies, and etc. One of the secrets is you don't tell anyone how much money you have on hand, and you don't tell them how much groceries you have, because that's basically inviting a disaster. What you need to do is to survive, okay? Now look at the big picture. Google some or YouTube some of the depression questions for 2020. It's really an interesting subject because, everything's at a grinding halt. People are seeing businesses come to a grinding halt. Look at the retail market, okay? The malls that are open, Chloe knows this. The malls that are open, was open, they're closed. They're non-essential. People can't go and buy new clothes from H&M or Rue 21 or Forever 21. They're stuck. People are going online, but the online market's going to dry up because no one will have the money to do it. And right now, everyone needs to basically take a page out of our grandparents' and great-grandparents' playbooks during the Great Depression. My adopted grandmother, who's 94, hoarded coffee then, and hoarded coffee during World War II as her staple. Out of panic and fear. Government started rationing food. Oh, you get 2 blocks of cheese, a 2-pound cheese block for, whatever, for the month. So look at it from that point of view. They might have to start rationing food. We might not get to martial law unless people start killing others for their supplies. Problem is, we as in people need to look at it from a different point of view. So, it's not just about the job market. The job market dried up. One guy was talking about how places are replacing others for computer programs, robots, and other things, and those jobs won't come back. So you have to reinvent the job market. Some people might have to be farmers. Some people might have to be fishermen. Whatever you can do to survive. But right now, it's big. It's literally big as big can be. And because of it, no one is spending. The retail market is at a grinding halt. People are only buying what they need. So when people sit there and say, oh, I'm going to stimulate the economy by buying beer and booze and entertainment, think closely. You might not have another stimulus check for the year if you do get one. So you got to be careful. Problem is, no one in their right mind knows what's going on in the future. I mean, everyone is suffering. Businesses that can't get their loans and keep their business afloat, 230,000 private businesses might go under. That will hurt the economy more. Those businesses would have to find workers for their workers. Hospitals, yeah, they want to give more money to the hospitals. The hospitals need more money. They got to find a cure for this virus. Problem is, Republicans don't want to give hospitals any more money. Fortunately, if they don't give money to hospitals, eventually hospitals are going to have to lay off people too, which means your health care goes down the crap as well. Then what?
People just have to die at home.
Exactly, and that's something that we don't want. Hey, Bobo, come here. Oh yeah, you're a good little dog, aren't you? Oh
People
yeah.
start taking health matters in their own hands.
I mean, look, the economy is hurting. No one is spending. Prices are going up for commodities. Chloe was just telling me the other day, grocery prices are going up where she was at. And so, look at it from that point of view. So, there you have it, Are we in a depression? Possibly. People are saying we're on it. The IMF said we're in a recession. It could go to a depression if they can't contain this. But as long as the states basically deem that the coronavirus is a health and safety risk to their state, they won't open up, which means a longer time at home, which means eventually you're going to have to make some severe decisions. You want to keep your internet for your kids and your streaming service, or do you want to get them to play offline games? If they have plenty of games to play, let them play their games. If they get tired of the games, we'll just explain to your children we can't afford things right now. I mean, this is something I would never have thought of in my entire life, to see myself that we're going into a severe recession or depression. Now let's talk about the government. They're trying to contain this. Unfortunately, right now, people are suffering to the point that they're getting upset at their government. They're getting upset at their commander-in-chief. He's trying to hold things together, but at the same time, as Chloe said, the big businesses came first. So little people aren't getting jack crap.
Someone keeps telling these people to liberate these states that are in lockdown.
Mm-hmm. President said liberate these states by inciting panic, riots, and firearm usages. That would just basically bring out martial law. Not a good idea, in my opinion.
He's not going to put martial law. He's going to put martial law on the states that are in lockdown, forcing us to open.
It won't happen. The governors have the powers under the 9th and 10th Amendment. The problem is, like I said, look around. The problem is no one can buy new items. I mean, look, me and Chloe were bringing up a topic we don't talk about, the trans community this morning. She said, look at the trans community. They're going to try to buy their dresses and their bras and their panties and their high heels and stuff. You're at home, you don't need to wear pantyhose and high heels, literally. I'm not being negative to anyone. I'm just saying, look at the picture. Another thing is, I saw the trans community. A lot of them are worried about their hormones, trying to get their hormones. Hormones are hard to get a hold of, so they're cutting hormones, or they're getting people's old expired hormone prescriptions or male hormone blockers because they think they're entitled to transition. When you don't have a job and the state's sitting there saying that the transitional medications are hard to get, you got to look at it from a different point of view. I mean, with government trying to gut Obamacare, a lot of people don't have health insurance. So that's taking a big dump. What happens? Again, it's a simple matter of mathematics. People shouldn't be spending money foolishly. Plain and simple. Hate these bugs.
We're going to have a taco circle today.
Oh, yeah, that sounds nice. Thank you. Basically, look around. You got to basically, if you have food, make sure it doesn't go to waste. If you have anything, make sure it doesn't go to waste. People need to take a playbook out of their grandparents and be frugal. Penny pinch. Think about it. If your TV works, don't buy a new TV. If your computer works, don't buy a new computer. If you want to sit there and waste your money, there's people out there that have payees, right? Let's talk about Social Security for a minute, payees. Ones that have payees, they know that you will go spend foolishly on a bottle of booze or drugs, or I'm just going to throw stuff out there, new computers or new games or a new computer video card or whatever. Those people will have payees, whether it be their parents, their friends, an agency. They're protecting you right now. They're not protecting us. They're protecting you. They're protecting you so you can eat, not to go waste of the update and spend $1,200 on a video card, and all of a sudden you can't eat because your video card costs $1,200, for example. Let me give you a bit of advice, okay? For Chloe, for example. The other day, Chloe had some computer trouble. Instead of going out and investing in a new laptop at this time, we fixed the problem by getting a new power plug and a new battery. It fixed the entire problem. Why? Because Chloe basically stated if this can fix it right now, we can basically go ahead and use the computer for another 6 months to a year to 3 years without having any complications on money. It's people like this that sit there and say, oh, my computer's acting up and this is problematic. I need to buy a new one. They go and spend $300, $400, $500 for a laptop. But then they realize something happens like this takes a dump. The economy goes to a grinding halt. And then things happen. I mean, look, I'm going to basically call it right now, okay? The economy is going to put people to sell their collections. They're going to sell things that they don't want to sell to survive. Pawn shops are making a killing right now, but the people in the pawn shops, one guy was doing a report recently on the news, and he was in tears for his clients because they are all suffering. He said he never wants to see this again. Look around. The thing is if the economy is tanking and the stock market's tanking slowly, and they can't solidify this, and states won't open up till May or June or even beyond, they say that a second wave can happen. Chloe said this morning, if the second wave happens, that brings the economy to a grinding halt again, which means you might not see anything if this is a recession. They'll get fixed by the IMF's early thing is 2021. It might even go to 2022 or 2023. So look at the picture. You got to look at it. Don't do anything stupid right now. Are we going into a depression? Possibly. Chloe, let me ask you a question, okay? Do you want to talk for a minute? I got to use the toilet. Talk about the depression, your opinions. You think we're going into one? Give someone some advice. Come on.
More likely we're going into a depression, and it's not going to get any better. For one, we're probably not even going to find a cure or a way to contain this virus anytime soon. Probably go into depression, and hell, more likely because of and even when it goes to the election, more likely we're going to have sane people running things for the next 4 years, not worse. So, I mean, it's just going to be, we're never going to get anywhere.
If you talk about the economy
Well, we just need to spend. We need to spend responsibly. That's all I have to say. We just need to spend responsibly. This whole pandemic has caused a lot of problems, but this pandemic's also caused a lot of stores to be so angry at customers they've been rude. Everyone's been so rude. Yes, so that's what it is. That's why I've seen it. A lot of businesses are being rude to their customers now because they're so angry they have to work during a pandemic.
Well, yeah, exactly. Plus the fact that the people are angry.
And one little thing, if you say one little thing to defend yourself, those throw you out of the store, not even care if you starve to death.
Well, yeah, and that's because the government's turning around, and these people are upset. The ones that have the essential jobs, like the hospitals or the grocery stores, they're the ones that's being rude because you say one wrong thing. They're upset because 22 million people are unemployed. They're paying for they're paying taxes. They're paying the unemployment. They have to work, and yet they think that everything should be essential. Okay, Thing is, if you really want to be at home, the grocery store employees, then maybe you should ask to have people basically have a website where they can order their stuff from their home, like the grocery stores on the island, and have it directly delivered home. So they take your card info, which they can do, and then they do it this way. But instead, that brings us to the other problem with the economy, okay? With the economy hurting, Amazon's taking a hit too. They're hiring more people to fill orders, but eventually those temporary fillers are going to be out of a job because no one's going to be ordering. I mean, literally, people say, "Oh well, we're supplying groceries or we're supplying this." They're not supplying anything right now. You go to Amazon, you can barely find a TP. You go to Walmart, Target, Google Shopping, places. They're not basically getting money. They're basically not making money themselves. They encourage people to come in to buy their products. A lot of people don't want to buy their products. They don't feel comfortable going to work because of the pandemic. They might end up dead. I mean, look at nursing homes. Nursing homes are an example. The elderly are dying at an exuberant rate. And, I saw a report recently where they found 47 people dead, one nursing home. 47.
Yeah.
Tells you right there there's a problem. Companies followed the stay-at-home orders the governor's issued, and because of it, it's brought everything to a grinding halt. Some states want to get reopened because they're Republican states, but if those states reopen without a plan or without testing equipment, they already said things are going to spike. You're going to see a second wave, and then what happens? More people will be sick. More people will die, and then what? The economy will take a nosedive, bigger.
Then they're going to blame their political enemies on it because they don't want to take the blame.
Yes and no. Right now, the problem is again, I'm going to say this in a clean possibility for my viewers, that the Republicans are the ones taking most of the blame. Literally. I mean, our commander-in-chief said, "Oh, this isn't a threat." Next thing you know, the entire economy is at a grinding halt. Now, I also want to say, I'm not going to say anything negative about our president, but think of it from his point of view. He's stuck, okay? He wants to reopen up government because he knows if businesses don't get back to work, there's an election, people are going to vote him out. Plain and simple. He's worried about that. He's got a right to worry about it. A lot of Americans say, look, you mishandled this so bad that now look, everything is at a grinding halt. And that's a problem.
If he reopens everything, he'll get reelected.
Well, exactly. There you go. You see, that's the best term I was going to say.
Well, like he reopens it, he probably would.
Yes, but he won't. Thing is if certain states don't reopen, there's like 42 states that refuse to open. The other states have been given warnings that those states could get, what's that word, Chloe? Spikes in the virus. They'll spike up. Rural Americans that did not have any stay-at-home orders are now getting worse sicknesses than the ones that had stay-at-home orders. Stay-at-home orders work, but it only works if you stay home. Thing is, people are getting tired of staying home. They're tired of staying home. Look at the gas prices. The gas price went down. Why did the gas prices go down?
People aren't going out.
Haha, see, Chloe's smarter than I thought. People aren't going out, so they're saving money. So the Arabs and the oil companies basically produced more oil than they needed. So right now, gas prices went down to under $20 a barrel. What's that mean? That's 55 gallons, okay, of oil. What's that mean? That means they have to refine it cheaper. And refining it. Now, a lot of people are upset about that. They're losing money in this precious commodity. To me, that saves a little more people from going out. Greenhouse gases are down. People aren't using that much. Now, there is another big problem with staying at home. There's people that is essential, okay? The essential workers that are essential. Your internet companies that maintain your servers and make sure customer service is great and make sure that your internet speeds are right and you have no trouble. They are mandatory. The ones that run the power plants are mandatory. Most of them can run from home, making sure they can keep the system up and running. Now, nuclear, I think they have to go in. Coal and natural gas, geothermal, etc. There's ways to run things from home to a point. Companies like Chloe's favorite game, Guild Wars 2, ArenaNet, most of them are at home. Some servers are at home. Main thing is they're basically doing what they can, okay? But again, the economy is nosediving because no one's working. And then you get these people, not all of them, but a lot of them, as Chloe just said, who want their checks to spend foolishly. Chloe's got, well, I won't explain how much, but she's been frugal, and I'm proud of her. Look at Chloe, for example. Let me give you an example. Yesterday she was shopping, okay? The only thing she spent foolishly, which she's entitled to because it's her life, she wanted a bottle of Mountain rum. Let her have it. It's her rum. I mean, literally. She wants the rum, let her have it. She picked me up another bottle of cognac, not to tap into the second bottle of the very expensive cognac. She's, last night, like I said, I watched videos on the depression, and I wanted to make one this morning to explain it to you all. That are we going into one? Possibly. The economy is going to a grinding halt. Eventually, if government or state governments can't get the government open properly till later, things start to spike more. The virus has to be contained. China's already in. Did you know China's got a second wave now because the virus is returning?
Yeah.
So the people sit there and say, oh, if you have the antibody, you've already got sick, you won't get sick again. That's wrong. Basically, what's happening is the news is now coming out that says this virus can be caught a second time.
Because it mutates.
Yeah, because it's mutating, right. So scientifically, if we know it mutates, we have to basically do things. President wants to relieve social distancing, make it lax so people can go back to work. Did you know they said 92% of Americans don't feel comfortable going back to work until it's over? There's people out there in the world that's stating that it's because they're so comfortable at home now that they want to stay home. It's not true. The ramifications and repercussions of staying home far outweigh going to work. Unfortunately, the states control when they can go back to work. I mean, literally. A lot of restaurants are doing takeout, but let me ask Chloe a question. Chloe's smart though, right? Let's just say, for example, our takeout restaurants here, will they stay afloat?
They could if they to take out, but more likely to get hurt.
You know why they're going to get hurt, sweetie?
Well,
remember, this is a discussion of depression.
Yeah.
So let me ask you.
No one's really going to buy from them.
There you go. You see? She didn't even have to think twice. No one's going to buy. Look, if people are not buying takeout lunch and they're eating out, Chloe took me to lunch a couple times this month. Great place to eat, right? Great place. Filled up. I was happy. Fortunately, that was just a rare occurrence. I don't do takeout much. I make my food in. Now, you guys could sit there and say, oh, well, it's okay. It's not okay. All right? Let me tell you what else is going on, okay? I just read a report this morning, not to bring it up. They're trying to bring back with new regulations. Chloe's going to love this. The farmer's market. People will start using the farmer's market if they have the money. Farmer's market, if they have meat, they have vegetables, they have fruits, they have coffee. Chloe can go to the farmer's market to live a little bit. She's got an income now. Let her go to the farmer's market as an option. We have a fish and meat market on the waterfront. A lady runs it out of the boat. It's fine and dandy. We'll do that too. She's going to go do that today while I take a bath. But you see, the point is, if these people don't have any money to spend, they're not going to be funneling it into takeout. So takeout basically goes down the toilet. There's restaurants out there. I heard rumors. I don't have any concrete facts, so this is just what I heard. But places like Sherry's and Denny's and Buffalo Wild Wings and all these other places will go out of business, even because people are going to be staying home to eat because they can't afford to eat out. So the 16, 17 million restaurant workers will be unemployed for a while. But if you can't employ restaurant workers because that's all they know, they might have to find a job like doing things that they might need to do like farming, right?
Farming.
Do you remember in the 80s and 90s, Chloe? Oh, you were young, so you probably don't remember this. But let me reiterate for some of you. It's a history lesson. Yeah, construction, there you go. Construction, you can fix roads and stuff. Let me give you an example, okay? In the 80s and 90s, when I was growing up, people would sit there, right? My sister would sit there and talk about the job market being full and plenty, but she was worked at WorkSource, so she would know this. That people would sit there and say, "Hey, Louie, I can offer you a job for $35 an hour." Let's just say, would you take it if even you didn't know what it was?
Sure.
So what if someone turned around and say, "Hey, Chloe, you're gonna do." I'm gonna give an example. Sid's job from Toy Story. You're gonna go and drive the garbage truck, and throw trash in the back. $35. People say, "Oh, that's beyond me. I'm not a trash worker." Thing is, you go home every night, or before you go home, you take a shower. You get home, you take a shower. It doesn't matter. All you're doing is taking trash and putting it in the back of a truck and driving it to a disposal site. And people say that's under them. Oh, that job I can't take because I'm privileged. I need a better job. If someone offered my cousin Dinky or my cousin who's, let's just say they're struggling, a job that both of them to drive the garbage truck, you don't think they would take it right then? Oh, you might need a CDL. Well, Dinky's got a CDL. Giving an example, she drive the garbage truck. What if someone offered a job, $50 an hour, doing grungy work, keeping the sewage lines working in New York, down in the sewers? Do you think people would turn it down? No, they'd find a way to do it. Oh, it might be smelly. You might be wearing a special sewer suit, but guess what? At least you're making a living. People say, "Oh, that's under me." Really? So you'd rather work as a waitress in a restaurant making tips, which could be very little. My mom said after what was it? Bill Clinton signed a bill basically stating that factories can go overseas to save on taxes and produce things like Levi jeans and stuff over in China. Her tips went down the toilet, okay? Literally. So the tip market went down to, before then it was plenty. She would bring $200 to $400 a day home. And guess what? Now, you don't even bring $20 home, maybe even $30 if you're lucky now. In a finer restaurant, you might be making more, but these finer restaurants are closed. How are they going to get tips too? They're not making tips. I mean, literally look at the big picture. Picture is the economy is tanking, okay? No one's going to go out and spend money. I mean, look, people sit there and say, well, the tourist economy is down the crapper. That's because the Johnny Flusher got it because no one's going to be going off to other places. Look, for example, I used to live in Quincy, Washington. Next door was George. George had the amphitheater. I heard from my sources that George Washington is basically closed. They're not going to do anything until 2021, maybe 2022 for big gatherings, for concerts. That hurts the tourist industry. Let's see. People combine and compact on our whale watching boats. That's what closed 2021. Do you think these boat companies are going to be in business? Look at one of our famous boats here in our harbor, the Spike of Africa. They usually put between 15 to 30 people plus the crew on to go whale watching, sometimes 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, all day. That's down the toilet. People need to realize it is down the toilet. Airlines get bailed out, but let's talk about the airlines for it. The big business is being bailed out, right? The citizens need their money. They can't get it yet. Big business is being bailed out. Let me ask Chloe this question. Big business is being bailed out. Airlines are being bailed out. How are they going to survive if they don't have any consumers? You see, they're just basically putting a Band-Aid on the problem. The problem is the Band-Aid. Oh, we'll bail out these companies. I saw a report that CEOs are getting billions for their companies. Yet the people that are hurting and needs their stimulus to survive hasn't gotten it yet. And yet airlines get bailed out. Now they're talking again. Chloe, I want her opinion on this. I know we talked about it before. Cruise liners. Do you think the cruise liners need to be bailed out? I don't. Only the wealthy use the cruise liner. Only the people, airlines are shut down. Guess what? Airlines are shut down. The only airlines that are running basically is freight. But freight airlines are going through the roof. Amazon is, trying to make deals and stuff. I hear to keep the airlines. Amazon wants more airplanes for their own air things and blah blah blah. But look, the main problem is again the consumers. People sit there and say, "Oh, if we give the $1,200, it'll prop the economy up." 1,200 a person is not going to prop the economy up. Okay, people are going to be seeing the news and worried about their next meal. They're not going to be worried about their TV. Now you got people that are too disabled that have pays. I'm bringing it up where I can give names, right, Chloe? That think that $1,200 should be spent for new gaming equipment or new computer or whatever. The people that have pays, whether they're their mother, their father, their grandparents, their friends, whatever, they know that they have to look out for the best interest of their people. And they're not going to allow that $1,200 to go buy something stupid. One guy's all happy, he's going to go and spend it on beer, and he says it's his money. Well, fine, but when you can't eat, then come and talk to me when you basically spend it foolishly, Because right now, everyone needs to take it to and slow down, take a chill pill, I mean, literally. There's people out there, and I'm not saying everyone is bad, okay? Maybe one person is the only one on the kid on the block that doesn't have a Switch. Buy your Switch, put the rest towards groceries. That's what I would say. If you go invest 3-4 games and this, and then you're short because this thing is going on, it's fine. Nintendo doesn't mind taking your money. Amazon or GameStop or Best Buy will take your money. But look at the picture. Best Buy's that everyone had to revise their quarterly earnings to offshoot this recession. I mean, look, we're in a recession. Some people get their money and they spend it foolishly. Some people spend it foolishly. Because of it, everyone needs to realize you need to look at the big picture. That's what I'm trying to say. The big picture is simple. Don't spend foolishly. I mean, look, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice and then I got to take it back. Okay, here's the deal. If you have extra money, make it last. You don't know if you're going to get another stimulus check or not. They're talking about it, but nothing's concrete. 2 is, they're trying to make sure that you survive for groceries and stuff. Governments are already putting in certain things in place. Some checks can't be touched. You can't be evicted, etc. But that eventually it'll run out or eventually something will happen. I mean, look, two people, one in Seattle, I believe she's Muslim, and that Ilham Omar lady basically said all rent needs to be forgiven. The management companies will have Republicans stop that dead in its tracks due to the fact that they don't want their rent to be forgiven. That would mean until the coronavirus is over, you can get free rent to use for food. Let me put it to you this way. People that live in subsidized housing, for example, and the mortgage banks. The banks can't take a hit. The subsidized housing can't take a hit. People say, it's a subsidized. No, it can't. Because when you get subsidized housing, people don't realize there's a lot that goes into it. For example, I have a letter here, by the way, from the management company that states that until, there's my stamp. Cool, I'm a stamp finally, Chloe. That clearly states, let me explain the rent situation. They're giving us envelopes, okay? It says, during this unprecedented time, yada, yada. Rent needs to be paid, yada, yada, yada. They can't give us any late fees. It says, please go to this place, but it says, the apartments have their financial obligations that are due and payable at the beginning of every month, and we depend on residents paying the rent on time. So we, as in the management company that handles with the owners, the mortgage, the utilities, the insurances, the taxes, the administrative and maintenance cost. So while people sit there and say, that's a great idea, let's have free rent, management companies won't do it on the grounds that they can't. They have expenses to cover. Just to throw that out there to get people hopeful is basically already putting it in the magical Johnny flusher and flushing that idea down the toilet. It's like giving $2,000 per person per month until this is over. It won't happen. But I hope I get my deposit this week. Just need it bad. It's frustrating. Well, yeah. Let's just say, Robert, I understand what you're saying. And again, if you watch my previous video, as I said, sweetheart, the problem is there's too many people that are making update videos daily to make a living. That's all they're doing. They're making a living because they can't go to the office. So they're making a living on updates. And then people that follow these updates, I read the comments. That's all I do to get some ideas. They're throwing dates out there. Oh, you're supposed to get paid the 15th. Oh, your check will be here on Friday. Oh, you'll get it Saturday. Today's Saturday. Oh, you'll get it Sunday. Oh, your payment will get out Monday. Your best bet, like I said, Robert, is to call between 10 and 1 a.m., 10 p.m., aka 1 a.m. Eastern time, 10 p.m. every night at 10 o'clock, and that's how if there's money in your account. Or you can check it online through the Direct Express website. The other thing is to check between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. 10 a.m. or aka 1 p.m. Eastern time, like I said, for your payments through the phone number, the phone. And as you probably are well aware, it still says there's no information on the stimulus payments. That gives me a red flag because they don't know what's going on, okay? They're not giving me told, okay? Like I said in my previous video, it could be that they're hoping that they don't have to do Direct Express and they can just send everyone a paper check, which means they're just delaying it because there's no money to give you because they're out of money. $2.2 trillion is out of money and no one knows why. And that's really sad, So basically, and then people say, oh, well, you're going to get paid on Wednesday. Wednesday's calendar is for the last people of the last day of the month for people with Social Security numbers from the 21st to the 31st for birthday. So they get paid on the fourth Wednesday of April, so the 22nd. So you might get your check then. Some people are throwing it out. It's Wednesdays. Others are saying it's the 20th. One lady basically claimed she worked with the IRS and checks go out Friday. That's not true. And people are getting their checks on Saturday and some are getting it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can know that the information you're getting on these guys, people that they monetize on their supposed updates, they're making money off you, and that's all they care about is their well-being for their own safety and family, even though they could be making millions through YouTube and making a lot of money having you click on their videos. I'm giving this information free, but I'm also asking you all to, on this video, to basically think about how the economy is affecting you around you, because look at the grocery stores. Toilet paper, paper towels, and commodities are running out. And factories are at a grinding halt. You can't make it because factory workers are getting sick. Meat packaging plants are getting sick. Your meat's going to go up in price. I mean, literally, things are going to get bad. Well, there you go. So as long as you check it or call, you'll know if there's money. I have the computer. I have the phone and the computer, so I check that way. And so far, my account's at $20. That tells you right here. My account's not been stimulated, but again, everyone has their own needs, Robert. And I know your story. You need it very much. Me, I'm not really worried about my check. I'm giving updates. I do check daily because that helps me out, like I said, for it helps me out literally explain if anyone else is getting a check. When people get it, they'll start posting comments to me. Oh, yes, they got it. So, but right now, that's the thing, no one knows what's happening. Like I said, Social Security is basically saying there's a timeline. IRS is giving a timeline with Treasury. So we're all in limbo. They say end of April. The end of April would be basically our payday for, what is it? 12 days. So their estimated payments might go out in the next 12 days, which is hypothetically. First, early May for SSI recipients. Again, early May. That tells you right there where the money is right now. They might not have the money to print, so they're just holding on to it, hoping like hell that people forget about it. The veterans, they're not. I can't find any solid source that veterans will be getting paid. Again, veterans need their money too. I mean, literally, their veterans are hurting. Social Security recipients are hurting, which is retirement disability survivors. SSI recipients are hurting. A lot of people say, well, we shouldn't be hurting because, we don't have that many bills because we balance our budgets out. But there could be unexpected costs. And that's where it gets kind of complicated, But I don't want to go into details here. But, I can. Let me just explain it. The unexplained cost is because of the economy. I mean, look at the economy. You probably see it where you're at, Robert. Grocery stores are hurt. Takeout only, yada yada yada. So everyone is hurting, and people need the money. Now, I don't know about you, Robert, but my opinion is I don't think money should be spent foolishly until people have a solid grasp of what's happening in the economy, and that means when retail can get back to normal somewhat, and businesses can open. I mean, literally, people are complaining, oh, I can't get my Starbucks. Oh, well, just deal with it. Or, businesses have to stay closed because of it. Or some people are ordering online to get their Starbucks coffee or, whatever. I mean, literally, you got to look at it from the point of view. I've not seen yet, Robert, a coffee shortage, but don't quote me. It could happen. I mean, literally, people will start hoarding that because they have nothing better to hoard. I mean, literally, we're in a time when, everything is uncertain. And because of it, that's why I always say take my words with a grain of salt, because I'm uncertain when payments will come. But I'm also analyzing data from all sources, and the sources are scary. I mean, literally, now that they want to make a deal over the weekend and do like a digital vote through computers so that people can vote for extra PPP money and SBA loan money and stuff. That's good. But, my point is if you're doing that, then maybe you should think about answering the question of why people like you need your money and you can't get it. The government has to be accountable somewhere when it comes to money. And right now, people are suffering throughout the entire nation. Like I said, places that didn't have the stay-at-home order in effect, they're not getting spikes all over. I mean, literally, if you just followed what they recommended, we wouldn't have spikes. Where now these places might have to start to close until further notice. I mean, literally, the states that did do that basically put in the stay-at-home orders, those are ones that are going down, but it could still spike if they just release it overnight. So it's not like flipping a switch, But like I said, the economy is hurting severely, and that's because people are not buying anything. So, if you look at it from that point of view, the big ticket items might not be around. They might not even have a layaway plan for Christmas this year at Walmart because people won't be able to put money towards their children's presents due to the fact that the economy is nosediving, literally falling down the crapper on the ground that no one is literally buying anything. Let's see. They made this all the way harder than it has to be. Taryn Curry. They made this all way harder than it has to be. Well, if you're talking about Social Security, no. Everyone's basically got their own things. One site says one thing, one site says another. Now, when it comes to the economy, they made it very hard. I mean, look at the stay-at-home orders. That basically brought everything to a grinding halt. People started hoarding groceries, hoarding toilet paper, paper towels, food. Meats, of course, are a lot of places are freezing their meats and only putting out X amount of meat a day so they can keep their meat supply going so people can buy meat. Otherwise, a lot of people are buying canned goods to get by because it's cheaper and it's easy to prepare. Some people don't have the skills to sit down and make a roast or whatever. So they're buying frozen foods or, whatever. Excuse me for a second. I gotta go check and see why he's making so much noise in here. Quit knocking your food bowl over. Here, I'll take this out so you're ready to eat it again. That helps me. humiliate that you're trying to do whatever. Sorry, everyone. If anyone needs to know, I have a rabbit, and so he likes to be noisy at times. Don't worry about the bunny, But okay, so basically, it is harder. It's not because of that. It's because what has happened, to make and everything go to a grinding halt is, like I said, our commander in chief didn't think this virus was a hoax, and now the economy's at a grinding halt. And there's people out there talking about not voting for him in the next election because they're out of a job, and because of it, jobs are important. If you ever watch movies, presidential movies, whether it be Nixon, Truman, JFK, they all talk about, my fellow Americans, they all talk about the economy, okay? The economy helps get someone elected. And if the economy is tanking on an incumbent president, more likely he or she will not get reelected due to the fact of the economy. I mean, look, the economy took a grinding halt. This is something that no one has ever seen in their lifetime since people in the Great Depression. So most of them haven't is not around still. Some people are still alive, but most people aren't. And so what happens? The ones that are alive still, they're talking about it. They're like, look, we got through it by penny pinching, etc. Others, they're just like, give me my stimulus check and I'll go spend it foolishly. Those are the ones that need to open their eyes up and look carefully and plan carefully, because we don't know when the states will reopen. Some states are going to try to reopen next week, and that might just take a nosedive too, which means in the coronavirus. Now, before I go, let me just explain the spikes, okay? The people that want to reopen early are the Republicans. They want to get reelected so bad that they're willing to risk the coronavirus on people when there is not enough testing. That's the other thing. If we have factories that can produce testing equipment all the time and we can test all the time, we can reopen knowing that everyone will be tested. Someone does get positive, make them stay home for a while or do something. But the point is right now they can't. There's not enough testing equipment in any states. Government says it's up to them. If it's up to the states to get the testing equipment, the buck has been passed on. Therefore, no one in their right mind knows what's going to happen. The economy took to a grinding halt. When will the economy fix itself? Well, when people have their businesses. At the moment, I've read reports also that can not be encouraging, but it can give you some insights that right now, with all the unemployment, people are filing for unemployment benefits, food stamps, Medicaid, etc. to get by. And that is really taking another number on the people, on the economy. If people have to apply for food stamps to get by, that's really telling you right there that there's a problem. 22 million people applied for food stamps tomorrow. The food stamp program would pretty much, or say next week it goes to 30 million or 35 million. I mean, we have 205 million working class people, whether wealthy, middle, or poor. And as the things keep staying there, what happens? With the stay-at-home order, no one goes to work. Healthcare is not getting the proper testing themselves. So it basically brings more of a hampering, where some of these people, it could go to 50 million, 60 million people unemployed or more. Half, 50%, maybe 80%. Problem is as long as, these small loans are basically problems because they're just a Band-Aid until the government gets reopened. Now, the Democratic states, they've already said they don't want to reopen unless they have the proper testing and everything's in place to make sure the citizens feel comfortable going back to work. Republican states want to reopen, and they don't care if this virus spreads. Say that Republicans open, okay. People go over, these Republican states go open, and they drive into a Democratic state. The Democratic state could spike too then, because they're still at stay-at-home orders, whereas the Republicans, they're driving over being like, oh yeah, we're going to go to Idaho, and going, we're going to go to Montana. Maybe Montana's sealed or not sealed, or Wyoming, or say they try to drive to Washington. And then the state patrol says, look, turn around. We don't want you here. You guys are coming into our state when we only have grocery stores open. I mean, look, the thing is, here's the big problem also. If you allow the Republican states to reopen before having the virus contained, and they come into states like our state, let's just say Washington State, they're doing it for two reasons. They're either being stupid and they don't realize they could be carrying the virus, which means they can infect the whole state again, or two, they're basically realizing that there's certain items in the state. Let's just say Texas goes to Oklahoma or Nebraska or whatever to the nearest Democratic state. And they might infect those states, but they might also be looking for groceries and say whatever, firearms or fishing rods or whatever, right? All of a sudden, those states now having a pandemic because these people decided, oh, it's time for us to get back to work. It's time for us to take a vacation and go to Yellowstone or Montana or whatever when they're a stay-at-home order place. And they're just like, oh, well, we're tourists, right? I mean, literally, it could basically cripple the nation more. So opening at this stage is not right. They say, oh, these states are lower, but the rural communities are actually getting bigger and bigger problems because they're spiking now because of the no stay-at-home order. So what happens? Everything comes again to a grinding halt. So this economy is so delicate right now that people need to look at the news all the time and analyze for themselves what's going to happen. And for my analysts, if they don't contain this, the economy could never rebound for years because they're not doing it correctly. Now, I'm not trying to scare anyone or put anyone in fear, but I'm basically saying look at it from the point of view is people in tourist cities and tourist towns, they're not getting any money. Their money's at a grinding halt. Stores are only selling essential items. Eventually, they might have to get rid of all the non-essential items that they run out and only stock groceries. But groceries are harder to fill because everyone's at home. And with everyone at home and the states have to come in with food stamps, they'll get X amount, they'll have to make it last. So then the stores will still be running low. Eventually, the stores might have to cut employment or hours to some of these people working because they can't support them because these people, the economy is going worse. I mean, literally, people right now, they're only buying groceries. And that's a good thing. Other people, they want their checks so they can go buy TVs and computers and, but like the government said, we're giving you this money, and I've said this time and time again, for you to survive. So are we going to hit a depression? Well, Ben Stein says we're already there. So if he says it, then we got to look closely and carefully to say, what are you going to do to prepare? Because the depression went on from 1929 to 1939 before it got better. Think of it. Do your history on the recession. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of videos out there explaining in detail where we're headed. And without retail propping up and online businesses not making a lot of money, clothing stores eventually will take a dump. I mean, I just saw a report that small restaurants have 1 to 3 days of cash backup on hand. Bigger restaurant chains and wealthier restaurants have 1 to 3 weeks of cash on hand. Then they're out. And then these other places, like the franchises of the fast food chains, they have money on hand, but the franchises are all handling it on their own. They don't go to corporate for money, from what I understand. So if they fail, there's the franchise chains are dwindling. Look at the other thing, stores. Some stores will go belly up this year. Some chain stores, rumor has it Sears will finally go under. Kmart, other places, Target could hold up because they sell groceries, but some places might not even survive. So you got to look at it from a different point of view. Souvenir shops might go under because they can't make money. And then look at the boats, for example. We have whale boats where we live for whale watching. They're going to go under. Fuel might be cheap, but they can't literally load up their people to go take them out. Right now, that's what launch. Sure, I guess. I haven't left it almost, I think. But no, bottom line is look at it from that point of view, okay? My point of view is this. The economy and the retail market sectors died out. People are only buying groceries. They're not buying new computers, big ticketed items, game systems, games. I mean, you know, and eventually people are going to start to see that if the economy doesn't rebound soon, they're going to have to start selling things on eBay and stuff just to make sure they get payments and ship out the items, you know, to make sure, you know, some of them might just put the item on the market, take your money, and then, you know, not provide the item if it's their favorite game maybe. And then next thing you know, they're getting negatives from eBay. You know, people saying, well, I bought this and it never came, and, you know, they screwed me over, don't go through the seller. People might do that to survive by stealing other people's money. It could get to that point. I hope it doesn't, but look at the big picture. There's going to be a lot of problems, you know, in online stores that basically have stores that are closed right now due to the retail closures. You know, some of the stores might be able to open, you know, with certain things, but they say, you know, with retail that, you know, when you go to a store, for example, they might be able to do a testing kit to see if you have a virus or not. Problem is a lot of people say that's a privacy issue. Unfortunately, you know, if that's the only way to get the retail open, people might have to accept that. Otherwise, they might just stay home and say, well, I'm not spending money, because they don't know where their next meal's coming from. So they're staying home, and, you know, they might just watch the entire retail. The pandemic might just have the entire retail collapse due to the fact that people don't want to go buy new clothes, new dresses. Now, the trans community, let's just throw them out there. They want to buy their clothes. They want their hormones. They want the surgeries. The surgeries are on hold. Hormones are hard to get a hold of, and clothing stores are closed. You're going to have to use different methods. It's like someone was just telling me the other day, you know, you have to use different methods to survive. You know, some people have a spending habit. They spend out of scaredness, or they just like to spend because it brings them comfort. Other people are panic shopping. They're double upping, triple upping, quadruple or more upping. Look around. The people need to realize that we, as in citizens, need to look at the big picture. You know, the economy is at a grinding halt. Jobs aren't there. The retail sector market's hitting hard. I mean, literally, if this continues, the other problem of the collapse is going to be the housing market. No one's going to be able to pay their mortgage, so people are going to be getting foreclosed. Now, banks do forgivable things. That's one thing, but banks aren't that forgiving. So look what happens. Banks aren't forgiving. Everyone gets screwed. Plain and simple. The housing market will take a dump. The retail market will take a dump. Factories can't produce things in bulk. You know, I said I was going to have that leftover, remember? Right. Not to let it go to waste. Yeah, it's got to be eaten. So there you have it, everyone. Are we going to a recession? More likely we are. As they say, are we going into a depression? Could be, if things can't be contained. And the state's basically making the decisions. You might or might not be able to get items that you need. And that is where you got to look at it from both sides of the fence. The retail side, the job side, and the housing side. If people can't afford the rent, and how a rent, whether apartments or mortgage, eventually they're going to be homeless. If the jobs aren't going to be restored because the small business loans aren't there, then people lose their housing. Okay, Robert. And then on top of that, as long as people are spending money in the retail sector, except for groceries to survive. And let me talk about groceries for a minute. Groceries means the essentials, okay? That means your toilet paper, your paper towels, your canned goods, your meats, your cheeses, your dairy, etc. I don't think going out to the store, let me tell you a story that happened the other day because the economy is taking a dump. I was at the store last Saturday, and there was people going down our store that has the cheaper prices, stockpiling meats. I've never seen so much meat being taken. They're buying meat. They were buying chips. I mean, literally, chips is a fatty food. Yeah, I know Chloe picks chips up for me because they're tasty. You know, but you can cut your food, certain things out that, you know, your soda. I mean, literally, if you want soda, that's fine. But think of it, soda isn't something you can eat. You drink it. Same goes with chips. Chips you can eat, you can make a meal out of it, but you can basically make more money out of that bag of chips you bought. You can get ramen or etc. Now, how about the story? Story goes, there's too much booze. Okay, too much booze being purchased. People are buying 6 packs, 12 packs, 24 bags. I saw one guy had nothing but beer in his cart. He was loving his stimulus check, but he also was stuck at home, so he was buying meats and stuff like that. But he had a lot of beer and hard liquor. Now, Chloe and I basically, well, Chloe makes her alcohol last. Okay, so I'm not worried about her buying a bottle of Malibu. I'm not worried about her buying cognac or bourbon from here, scotch. That will last a while. And in the evenings, I like to have a drink to just relax and watch some movies. James Bond. The internet's lagging severely, anyways, but that's beside the point. Too many people are making the internet lag because they're at home. They have nothing better to do, so they're doing social distancing by doing social online activities. Again, the economy is you buy what is needed. Buy your flour and stuff if you can get hold of it. Your sugars, your other items, frozen foods are starting to be sucked up. Point is people are now turning to frozen foods for the freezer items. They're turning to other things. Fresh fruits and vegetables are getting harder to get a hold of at times because, cruise ships aren't shipping bananas and avocados and stuff and other fresh fruits from other countries because they're not allowed in our ports. Airlines aren't bringing in stuff either at times, so we're all suffering. So look at it that way. Now, there's another thing that's going to happen. The coronavirus is causing a lot of problems for the shipping companies. The shipping companies are getting too many packages right now. They're not delivering them on time. They're delayed 3 to 5 days, even up to 2 to 3 weeks. The reason for it is because they don't have enough manpower to deliver. Some people are told that they don't feel comfortable working, stay home. Other people are scared. What's happening is on the economy is if they can't make deals to make sure that these people get good rates to deliver your packages, maybe a little hazard pay, then the packages should be delayed because the fact of the matter is Amazon's getting a deal for SurePost and SmartPost and USPS. And that brings me to the USPS. The U.S. Postal Service said they might be out of money and out of business in September if they'll get addressed. No one wants to address the postal problem. Thing is, Amazon's getting so many deals and doing SurePost and SmartPost. So what happens? Postal Service gets the brunt of it, the remainder part of it. Hi, baby. I love my dog, by the way. So what happens? Basically, the economy is taking a dump in the Postal Service. Now, let me put it to you this way. If the Postal Service has to cut hours, that's fine by me. To make sure that our delivery hours by like 3 days a week is fine by me. The problem is there's too many people that rely on the Postal Service for packages and for mail. Now, what if they can't get their bills? Well, some people say, oh, well, that's where you have the internet. But what if the economy doesn't rebound and you can't afford the internet and the Postal Service is gone? Then what? Then your bills aren't paid because you don't have a reason to pay. You might have a phone, right? A phone, you can always call them up, make payments that way. They say as long as you have a cell phone, you can make payments. But what if these families and people that have cell phones and the economy does go into a depression, they're going to have to cut their finances on cell service. They might not be able to afford a cell phone. Then what? Then what happens? No cell phone, no internet. They're relying on the Postal Service. I mean, literally. I do want to say that I think, in my opinion, no one was prepared for this, to basically take a dump. And there's another thing. A lot of people turn around and they take things for granted until it's too late. And then the economy literally goes and tanks, like I said, All right, so a guy basically on my other video, Michael Donovan, says, you said something about someone being negative towards you. Yes, I did. They basically said I was full of beans. I said they need to listen and shut their mouths. I find you so informative. I've learned so much from you than anyone else. Thank you for everything you do for us. I really appreciate it. God bless you, Mikey. So Mikey basically said, the same thing, people need to listen. But thing is, like I said, are we going into a depression? Possibly. Do we know if we're going into depression? No, not yet. But right now, the IMF says we're going to go into a recession because we are failing and there's no jobs. A lot of places don't have jobs. So basically, when it comes to the internet, right? So people can't make their bills. People can't make their payments. What happens? They have to cut corners. They cut corners, and when they cut corners, people are going to see a lot of problems with their cell phone service. They have to rely on the postal service. If the postal service works 3 days a week, they got to know what days. Maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, they get a break. Saturday deliveries sold, gone. Problem is the economy is hurting so bad that the taxpayers might have to cut corners on everything they do. And literally that means basically cutting out their cell phone service, cutting out their internet service, cutting financial obligations by just using electricity. If they have a water bill, pay your water bill and electricity and, stay in until they lift the stay-at-home order. Problem is again, look at the big factors here. The housing bubble could completely crash the housing market if people aren't buying new houses, taking out mortgages, and they can't pay their mortgages. There's going to be so many people with problems. Second is that retail is at a grinding halt. People are only buying what they need. Again, look at it from that point of view. People are only buying what they need. And if people have to sell their cars and their houses and, like Chloe said, their video game or movie collection to survive, they're going to go down that route because right now they can't trust, people are saying they can't trust the government. One government wants to reopen in the entire nation. Other states are saying, no, we got to get through this. Some states haven't peaked yet. So we have to work together. Unfortunately, that hurts the economy. People are like, well, there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, I need to buy this and I need to buy that, junk stuff. You don't need to buy useless crap right now while you're hurting. It'd be like Robert going out, for example, no offense, Robert, buying a new computer and a new TV when Robert's struggling. It's the stupidest thing to do. Robert knows what he needs. When his check comes, a stimulus check, he knows what's going to happen. With me, I'm putting mine towards groceries because, frankly, we don't know what's going to happen right then and there. I mean, literally, people say, oh, the grocery stores are filling up. Well, let me put it to you this way. Here's something else I want to talk to you about the whole economy thing, right? I want to ask Chloe. She's making a lovely sandwich. Chloe, I have a question for you, for the audience. I want to ask you a question. Now, let me ask you a question. Grocery stores are slowly filling up again, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know why they're slowly filling up and staying filled?
Because no one's buying them right now.
Okay, so picture this. I want Chloe to answer this, all right? Chloe's smart. She's good with economy. She's very good with economy, right? Mm-hmm. Picture this. Oh, by the way, can I ask you a favor? When the time comes, could you get in the freezer for me and pull out another bag of ice?
Yeah.
I need another bag of ice for tonight. That bag's almost empty. So, yeah, a little drink a little later. So, here's the problem, okay? Here's the question. Let's just say out of 100%, right? Most people got their stimulus checks, 80 million. Okay, there's 70 million people waiting for their checks, mostly Social Security disability, retirement survivors, SSI, or SSI and stuff. Oh, I do got a question. Someone asked me, if you're on Social Security survivors and you're on Social Security on your own disability, do you get 2 checks? No, you only get 1. People have been asking me that. I forgot to answer that question. If you're on Social Security retirement and SSI, do you get 2 checks? No, you get 1. If you have a Social Security number for, say, your mother or father, and you're on survivors and you're on your own account, you get money, a second check. You're not going to be getting that lucky. The government only gives 1 check. If you got 2 checks, I would basically be shaking in my boots, right? There you go. So, question. Let's just say out of 150 million people getting refunds, 105 million, or let's see, 150, that's 55 million don't get checks at all, okay? Let's just say 70 million people, the retirees and a disability, okay? All right, you said it yourself, the elderly are going to hoard their money. The disabled are going to spend it foolishly, right?
Mhm.
People that do get it, that goes out and decides to buy groceries, okay? Picture the grocery shopping, right?
Yeah.
And they spend $1,200 up front for groceries. I want to ask you, do you think if everyone put their money, their $1,200, while waiting for the economy to rebound, if that rebounds, in groceries, do you think the grocery market would be empty again?
Yeah.
There you go. A lot of people are saying that when they get their money, they're going to stockpile groceries. If that's the case, you're going to see the grocery market basically go down. The commodities will go down again, and they have to restock, which could take weeks, because everyone out there, let's just say 50 to 70 million people invested $1,200 on groceries. You're going to see that much money goes into a lot of groceries, and because of it, it goes, and everyone else is now struggling and complaining. Okay, so picture this. Okay, the working class, when they got laid off, stockpiled in like 5 weeks. They stockpiled almost all the essentials they need. Right now, the grocery stores are filling up slowly. But what happens when it's time for the second wave of shoppers, the disabled? Let's just say toilet paper's in stock, paper towels, groceries. The disabled, let's just say 70 million people go out and buy nothing but groceries. Okay, they're the first wave of people that stockpiled the toilet paper now are going to be the ones complaining that the second wave went and got everything they needed. Let's put it to you this way. When you hoard, you cause panic. Panic for the disabled, panic for the retirees, panic for the disabled, all the survivor benefits. All these people are panicking because they can't go out and buy TP for their bunghole. Joking, of course, the whole thing, like, the Beavis and Butthead thing. But they're not buying TP for the bunghole. There's none to get. So they have to go through different channels and hope like hell they can find something online. I got lucky.
Cornholio's has been in crisis since the pandemic.
Cornholio
No
is.
TP, no TP. The coronavirus sucks.
Well, what about Hank? Hank, dear, we don't have any beer. That sucks. No beer. Homer. Marge, find me some beer.
Family Guy. Family Guy. Tom Peter act.
I'm sorry, Peter. The Hungry Clam's closed. No, I need my beer.
Oh, come on. We're not any of us are going to get the virus.
What about the grocery store? Goes in there and he's panics. There's no beer.
Right.
Same with Homer going to the grocery store. No beer.
It's like, stay away from me right now. I don't want to get any more sick. Giggity, giggity.
Why? Wouldn't he not care? He'd be like the James Bond of horniness. Giggly, 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 goo. Hey, ladies, coming over to my house. I got some beer and spirits and everything. Giggly, 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 goo.
You want to spread the virus? Oh, man. Coronavirus sucks. You get balls over this virus.
I mean, I'm surprised the Simpsons, Family Guy, and American Dad and stuff like that. South Park hasn't made fun of it yet.
Well, South Park will. I mean, we make fun of everything.
Yeah, well, I'm just talking about,
Hey, Kyle's gonna get it. Guy will get it first because he's a Jew. Jews get it first. That's not true, Cartman.
Yeah, well, basically, the bottom line is before I wrap this up is
Kenny gets it first because Kenny dies every night. Oh my gosh, the coronavirus killed Kenny, you bastard.
Anyways, basically, like I said, is unless the economy gets better, you're going to see a lot of people sucking up everything they can when their checks come, whether it be this coming week or next week or beginning of May, that you're going to see the markets in the grocery department go down. I, of course, am going to be ordering stuff online, having shipped. Some of it shipped, but I will be supplying stuff for local stores too. like I said, the problem is you're going to see the grocery stores get sucked up as soon as possible. There's a lot of people waiting for those checks for groceries. Some are waiting for it to pay the rent late. Now, I do want to say that, in my opinion, remember, in the beginning of videos, said I'm only expressing my opinions, that people that are on disability and retirement, like myself, survivors, SSI or SSDI, like Chloe is. Chloe and I, we pull our resources, right? So we don't have to worry about the rent being delayed because we pay it every month on the dot. Unless the manager doesn't give us an envelope, I'll slip it in the box anyways. I got a receipt copy from the money order, right? So we're covered. Electricity, I just pick up the phone, make a call. Internet, I go online and pay it every month. So we're covered in all aspects. So with the budget, we're budgeting properly, and then the rest of our money is going for groceries and things that we need. We are not buying anything foolish. Except some people saying booze is foolish, but it isn't if you know how to balance properly. Me, I just enjoy a good cognac. And that's because I've been through a lot lately, and it's not easy giving you guys updates and then studying more in the evenings, while watching Bond. I'll stop and, check the news to see if there's any news feeds and stuff. But you see what my point is, when it comes to the economy, a lot of people are going to be funneling it into groceries. That's a must. The elderly, I think this time around, talking to several elderly people, I think they're not going to hoard it so much and stockpile groceries because they're not certain about the food, I mean, if you look at our friend Linda, for example, she's probably stockpiling everyday thing that's not nailed down. Yeah, probably.
I wonder how many people have been thrown out of stores since outbreak.
I don't know.
A lot.
I don't know. But my point is this. A lot of people also are going to be using online because they don't feel safe going to the grocery stores. And the grocery stores is a big magnet to where people are getting the virus. And that is the big problem, too, because people are saying, like, oh, well, I need to go grocery shopping, but, or they're using different things, delivery methods or whatever, and the delivery methods are fine. The problem is that grocery stores are actually got problems because, that's the only place they're going at home. Or they're going to the pharmacy. Our pharmacy, you wait outside to get your meds. Gas stations, you go in and get your gas station. Apparently, gas stations are losing money hand over fist on gas, but they're selling in items like chips and dip and other items they're buying. But eventually, people are going to have to cut their tobacco out because they can't afford it. They're going to have to put their priorities on other things, And so, like I said, the economy is going to tank. And, I'm not trying to make you live in fear, but I'm trying to tell you, if we do go into a depression, prepare for it, because no one knows how bad it's going to get. I mean, look, like I said, some people are not paying their rent basically because they know the states won't kick them out. Like our governor basically made it so you don't have to pay rent, I think, for 8 weeks before unless they lift it early, and then you're in trouble.
How many movie franchise will bring up the coronavirus?
I don't know, but they say because of that's another thing. The economy's hurting. Okay, as you all
Go ahead.
As you all know, everyone, if you haven't been following it, they say that Hollywood might never recover from the coronavirus due to the fact that right now, let me tell you this: every movie theater in existence is mostly closed down because of the whole mass of people not going out because they're afraid, right? So what is the media doing? Well, some companies like Amazon and Sony and stuff are making deals that you pay like $5, $6, $7, $8 to watch a movie. Now, I think they give you 2-day movie rentals just because, but the point is that's what you do. You rent the movie from different sites. Like, for example, I was looking for a movie recently, Call of the Wild, right? The other day, me and Chloe walked past the movie theater, and they had Call of the Wild. Someone was cleaning the movie theater up, waiting for it to reopen, and they changed the poster. And they had Call of the Wild. And I said, did you ever even play it for anyone? They said, no. So I was up one night looking at Call of the Wild. Call of the Wild, they want $15. I said, I'm not paying to see Harrison Ford $15 to own a digital movie. I refuse. Well, when it went down to like $5.99 or something to rent, I was like, okay, me and Chloe's going to rent it. Another movie that we rented that went down $1 in price recently was Mr. Rogers again with Tom Hanks. fortunately, when it comes to the movies, as long as they're making movies, I mean, look at they're right now delaying the new 2020 Bond movie until November. They think the coronavirus will be over, but the coronavirus in November could spike and give double the people. It can come back. So,
I
it's
think that
been hard.
Bond movie would be probably released 2021 or 2022.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because the theaters will pretty much all have to be shut down. They'll probably have to release it direct to release.
Well, exactly. And so, for example, as Chloe said, now Disney owns the rights right now for the Harrison Ford movie of, I believe, the Call of the Wild,
you're
right?
You're going to see more independent films too in the future now.
Well, let me just say, I'm trying before getting interrupted. Call of the Wild movie is owned, I believe, by Disney, but Disney never put it out on their actual streaming. Amazon got the rights to rent it, so you can rent it on Amazon. However, certain movies that were supposed to be rented out to Amazon, right now, there's a couple children's movies that just came out. One of the posters are up at our movie theater, and the guy's like, yeah, we wanted to play this movie for people, but we can't. Unfortunately, you go to Disney Plus. We're members of Disney Plus, and it's right there. It's right there in black and white. I call it black and white. Clear as day, clear as a bell. You can watch it for no charge. You pay your $7.57 with tax for Disney Plus. You can watch it, and you can watch Frozen 2 without needing it. They decided to release it early to direct the view for the Disney Plus recipients. I wish they did that with the Call of the Wild, but I guess you can't have everything. They said that Disney was basically made a statement of some of the children at home. So they want to watch Frozen so many times. Let them watch Frozen 2. Frozen 2 looks pretty good. We saw the trailer for it. And they also brought out recently, you can rent Dora the Explorer. I wanted to see that movie, the live action. But you get the idea. Right now, they're not guaranteeing when or if Hollywood will get through this because no one's renting movie seats. So the entire movie industry, for example, tanked. That's another problem. The movie industry tanked. Now, right now, we don't need to be focusing on entertainment, really. Chloe should be focusing on that sandwich, for example, meaning food, right? Now, let me tell you something. The actors are kind of upset that they're seeing their products being put on hold. But guess what? It's not the problem. It's the pandemic. Now, there's another thing. As I said earlier, Chloe and you guys have heard it from her. How is people going to travel on the airlines if no one's got money? Businesses are going to do it? Yeah. So they might limit the flights, maybe 50 flights a day through the people that truly need to travel. Otherwise, everyone else is staying home. Well, what about other issues? Well, let me say again, let me talk about it. Well, did you know the United States relies on getting their groceries, right? Getting their groceries from other countries. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So what if I told you out of love that cargo ships. I'm over here for a second. I hope you guys know. I'm over here. I'm still talking. Not cruise liners. Cargo ships are being told they got to stay in certain ports. They can't go to other ports, which means everything is being delayed, which means your avocados that might be coming from Mexico might never come here. Or you want your mangoes or your star fruit, those are on hold. The cargo ships are being told to stay in port or not even leave port. Some of the Chinese cruise ships are bringing materials and stuff like Nintendo Switches are delayed, sitting in cargo ships. Some foods that you're supposed to get, foods that you buy, like fruits and vegetables, avocados, they're rotting inside cargo ships. Mm-hmm. The cruise liners are losing money. The people that bought those and had it shipped by cruise cargo ships are losing money. Cargo ships aren't moving right now. That's a sign that we're in recession, early depression, because cargo ships can't move. And remember, certain places rely on air traffic, right? Well, how do you rely on air traffic? By the way, did you put my food in the oven or whatever?
Unload in the oven.
So basically, for example, air traffic, the only ones that are moving right now is like companies like Amazon that's got deals. And Amazon wants to own more airplanes so they can ship more to people. But how can they ship more if there's no money? I mean, look, I saw a CNN report the other day on business. It says, do not spend foolishly. Buy only the essentials. They're basically warning. Okay, that's a warning sign. Chloe, if you were reading that on CNN, okay, let's just say hypothetically, you're reading on CNN, right? What would you say to the article when it says, do not buy foolishly, do not spend foolishly or recklessly, buy the essentials. Don't go and fear hoarding or buy things that comfort you. Like maybe a trans woman will go buy 50 bras because it brings her comfort right now because she's at home, right? 50 bras, okay? Do you need 50 bras? No, you just buy like 2 or 3, wash them once a week, you're good to go, right? And you don't have to buy the most expensive bras. You can buy like $3, $4 Walmart bra, right? So let me put it in. People need to look at the prices, and that's the other thing. And I'll talk about too about this thought on depression is where were we?
About food, commodities.
Right. So basically, for example, people are going to have to take the road where they're going to have to, like, for example, where people sit there and they're spending foolishly. CNN, right? My question to you is, if you read that article where it says only buy the essentials, I'm asking Chloe her opinion, okay? You guys, if you guys have anything to say in the chat, please feel free to. What would you say to reading that article where it says buy the essentials, even on Amazon? Don't buy for comfort reasons. Don't buy because you have bipolar and you have a spending problem. Buy the essentials. What would you think of that report?
I think they're right. Report's right.
Or would you think, like me, or as Aaron, if my husband was alive, the thinker would think, if CNN's producing this article, CNN has more insight into the future than we do. So they're basically stating it. Time said the same thing. Who's having...
There's a lot of people out there, like the rural Americans, still want to listen. You know how many of them hate CNN and how many of them only watch Fox News?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what the problem with the rural Americans are right now, right? The rural Americans that didn't listen are now getting the coronavirus, and they're actually thinking that maybe they needed a stay-at-home order. But also, the rural Americans, or as I call it, I'm not making fun of anyone, the redneck killjacks, basically are realizing right now that the economy is hurting big time. They're at home. Some of them are actually basically cutting out buying beer. I know the Simpsons are like rednecks. Hank Hill might be, from, whatever, King of the Hill, rednecks, all these places. But the truth of the matter is a lot of them are cutting out their expenses. They don't have jobs, so they have to look for other ways, right? And look at the news, for example. Another thing that shows depression, long lines in your cars in California and other places for the food bank. Food bank was today, but you know what? I was talking to a friend of mine who emailed me this morning. She actually went into work for a bit. She had to get some stuff, right? She said if we need anything, we can just email her, right? She just wanted to check in to see how we're doing safe-wise, right? I actually asked her for help for the thing, which she's going to look into helping Chloe, but the grocery store situation. But she said, and I want Chloe to picture this, that between the block that goes behind the new resource center that's built, around the corner, past the senior center, and all the way down to the middle place, right? You know that corner there? And then from the middle place to the other corner where the food bank sits, right? She says there was probably a line all the way around, probably quarter to half mile each way.
Yeah.
Literally just for food. So that tells you right there there's a problem. If people are relying on the food bank. The food bank didn't have enough food to go around, she said. This is just really hurting the people that need it. She said the renters help for the helping the county has money going up for rent. All gone. It went down. It went, she said, 40 after they issued it in the paper, 48 hours after they issued it in the paper, it took another 48. So 96 hours, money gone. She said, if we need help with rent, don't look to her. They're now asking.
Once this pandemic is over, you know how many people are going to be evicted?
That's what I was going to say. But here's the other problem. The other resources we have to keep people from being evicted, right, that need rent in this whole depression thing is churches. Churches aren't being able to help because they're doing online services only. So they're not helping. They're basically hitting the toilet themselves. So look at the big picture here, everyone. If churches can't help, resource centers can't help, and other things can't help. And Chloe, you just heard it from me, right? That Congresswoman Omar, the Muslim, and then we have a Muslim in Seattle, I believe it is. They said that did you hear what I said earlier about forgivable rental assistance, where if you can't pay the rent, oh well, it's forgiven? Do you really think the management companies will really do it? You read this. As I said, Chloe can confirm this.
A lot of these management companies are Republicans.
No, they're not Republicans. The problem is I read this once before. It says, apartments have their financial obligations that the due and payable at the beginning of every month and depend on all our residents paying rent on time. So we can pay the mortgage, utilities, insurance, taxes, administrative maintenance costs on time. That's true. Unfortunately, our governor, okay, this is the problem. My apartment manager emailed me because I actually asked her a question. You know, I do like our manager, Chloe. She's been very informative. I emailed her the other day about that whole thing, you know, when they released the info that 7 or 8 more weeks where they can't evict people. She turned around and stated, and I quote, "We can't evict people right now because of the virus." Secondly, she said that the governor has undermined the management's accountability, which means if you can't pay the rent or you want to take all your excess money and you put it in towards groceries, they can't touch you. You can make payment arrangements after the coronavirus as long as you get it contained.
Because that management companies now want to sell all their properties.
And right now, the management company said they're trying to put the properties on the market because so we got a notice that says we will be putting notice violations if you don't clean up your area of the apartment. So the manager, when I messaged her, I said, "Have you noticed our area?" She says, "Yeah, it's got junk and everything. You need to clean up." I said, "Why don't you take a look?" She can't email me back. Says I said, as soon as we got that notice, I went in and I cleaned everything up. So our area looks fine. She says the neighbor next door is so depressed because she can't go to church and the internet's being bogged down. I shared the net with her. She's a single struggling mother. I like her as a person. And I talked to her once. She doesn't care if she gets a violation or that. She knows she can't be evicted for another 8 weeks. So she's going to leave the bicycle under the thing. We got a manager that wrote that says unworking cars will be towed. People that leave crap outside, whether it be strollers above the stairs or people live downstairs or
There we're getting new management here or new owners because they don't.
and you know the problem is they'll still be the same management company. The problem is you know, these people are trying to prepare to sell it, but they can't do inspections in here because they're not allowed in our apartments. But right now the governor said, you know, 8 more weeks. So what that means that they can't rate hikes, they can't do that. But they also turned around and said, well, if you can't pay your rent, don't worry, right? You can't be touched because, you know, some people might need to pay their rent and buy. You want me to open that for you?
No, I got it.
Oh, okay. So pay the rent, for example, right? So some people can't pay the rent. And because of it, what happens? What happens, right? They can't be touched. So our state's like, well, if you can't pay the rent, you got to buy your groceries. That's fine. Then the electric company has been told, again, I want to share this so Chloe hears it clearly, and you all. Our state says if you can't pay your electricity and you need to buy food, you can make arrangements later with the electric company. Now, the internet company turns around and says, well, that's a luxury item. Now, I think, in my opinion, that some things are BS. At least there is some protections. Fortunately, you know, some people are taking advantage of it. And that's where I wanted to say, you know, my cousin Dinky, I love Dinky, and I love my cousin Corey very much. I miss him. But honestly, you know, they would both agree. Some people, like my neighbor next door, will take advantage of the entire situation, buy all the crap they want, and literally take advantage of it. I mean, I have a friend of mine that doesn't have a job, and she's a struggling mother. She's like half Hispanic, half black. She said she doesn't even have any excess money. She's waiting for her stimulus check too. But here's the kicker. That money's going to fill her fridge. She's made the right decision. Unfortunately, some people can't pay their rent. She's got her rent paid, everything else covered. She's got help. But thing is, there's people taking advantage of it. Let's talk about the depression.
Someone else doesn't care. If they get everyone sick, they just want they want to have sex.
They want sex. Let me just talk about something.
Too much I know.
All right, so let me explain a couple other things, okay? A couple other things, all right? My friend, who was asking me about doing a depression video, one of my allies, well, two allies, advocates, they said this is really bothering them. So here's something they asked me to put in the video. That people out there, okay, when this virus happened, they had to put in laws to protect people from being evicted. No rent paid, no this, no that. My manager knows I pay my rent on time. I don't freaking fart around with it, right? Manager said there's a lot of people taking advantage, not paying, and then going to other places saying they had to buy food to overpaying the rent, right? But then they go and they do something else, like buy a boatload of crap on Amazon, okay? My neighbor had like 50 boxes the other day. We're like, what the hell is she ordering, right? Anyways, so, here's the problem. Online churches going online, they can't collect donations unless through PayPal. Now, our churches are out of money, right? We had the county that basically had a special housing program. And the cities in our county have special housing programs helping rent. That's all gone within 4 days. We had people basically had to make arrangements to try to get the government to give help. The government pays monthly a certain amount of money for electricity help for people, like $100, $200 at a time. And then you get the yearly X amount of dollars through the government that pays for electricity. We just got ours approved finally after 4 months. It was approved. They just delayed it because of the money, and then the virus happened. So basically, we have some extra help. But the problem is our rent's covered. Our electricity's covered. Our internet, we're covered. We're not going to worry about any of that. We actually, Chloe knows I do the budget every month. I say, here's your expenses, here's my expenses now. We work together. Now, some people, they have that Social Security benefits. They have those retirement benefits. I know, Robert was saying, he's struggling. Now, there's people out there, Robert, you deserve all the help you can get, sweetheart. Fortunately, here's the problem. There's people out there with Social Security retirement, Social Security survivors, SSI, disability, right, that are taking advantage of the system and taking advantage as much as possible and going places and getting gift cards. I mean, one of my advocates is not giving any vouchers. The Salvation Army does. We have resources. We can go to Salvation Army. They'll give vouchers for X amount of money to pay for groceries. That's all ran out because people are taking advantage of it. That's where the depression is going worse. Now, there's struggling families that don't know about these resources, and those resources went, right? Those resources are for them, for an emergency. Instead, you got the people taking advantage of the system. And basically like, oh, I don't have to pay rent. I'm going to go buy that new computer and buy this and then make payments later with the management. Meanwhile, I go, oh, and my cousin Dinky and my cousin Corey know this. I pay my rent first thing every month. I'm on top of it. So rent's covered. Electricity's covered for the next 3, 4, 5 months. My bunny food's covered. My dog food's covered. I had plenty of dog food brought in. Food, then I go out and I buy food at the grocery store. I stockpile what I eat. Fill the freezer up. Won't tell you how much is in there. But that's for you to figure out. I'm not sharing my amounts. Okay. Problem is the government gave us these checks to pay rent, pay lights, pay whatever. Internet, as some people say, it's a luxury right now because too many people's using it, but they're going to pay the internet. They're going to pay their subscriptions or whatever they have. But honestly, where's that play out, right? I'll tell you where it plays out. Excuse me for 1 second. It is getting a little warm, so I'm going to pull my t-shirt off here. There you go. Yeah. I'll just put a robe on. So basically what it means exactly is, these resources are gone. People that need these resources aren't getting these resources. Second problem with this whole depression problem is simple. The government turns around, and what are they doing? The government's turning around. What are they doing? Huh? They're basically the unemployment rate is through the roof. It's astronomical. Because they don't have jobs, the lines to get unemployment is through the roof. People are still waiting 3 weeks later and they still haven't got benefits. Why? Because there's too many people calling and everything else. Now, things got to change. Maybe people need to think about the new norm is not spending money foolishly. I mean, Americans have more consumer debt and more consumer slurping, as I call it. They slurp up everything they get. New iPhones, new Android phones, new Chromebooks, new laptops, whatever. They think, oh, I can buy this, no worries. Now they're seeing the aftermath of the retail market tanking. And the retail market's trying to say, look, we got this new deal, Chloe. For only $2.99, you can get this new such and such laptop. You think Chloe's going to go out and buy a new laptop right now this time of day? Let me ask you, Chloe, if there's a depression happening, what is your main worry? Right now, we're in a recession, right? Food, right? How many people should be worried about food?
Everyone.
So let me ask you this.
Food
Your
and
own
meds.
opinion. Thank
Keep
you.
yourself alive.
Thank you. Now let me ask you this, please. How many people are truly worried about food and medicine?
No.
No, because they think the government will keep bailing them out.
Mhm.
Thing is, the government can't bail you out if they don't have any money. What's your opinion on Social Security? Why it's delayed? The stimulus checks.
Only bailouts. Really good. It's always people who support capitalism, right? They don't want to give up their luxuries or their wants. They don't want to give up what's comfortable for them. So they expect the government to reopen so they can live
Comfortably, but also make sure the
And-
factories work.
And they're threatening too, if the states don't reopen, they're going to go in by force and overthrow a state, even if they had to take out the state governor.
Nope, won't happen. The problem is the 9th and 10th Amendment protects the governors. So technically what's happening is they're all taking state by state things, 3 states, 4 states, 5 states, and putting a pact together to do it. But at the same time, right now they're saying, well, we can't open until this state's ready or this state's ready or this state's ready. So you got the Republican states wanting to reopen. And when they do, I guarantee you the coronavirus will spike in high numbers. And then they'll try to go into the blue states to get supplies because their
The
supplies
blue states will tell them to turn back around. Rednecks are come to the blue state line. Guards are threatening to kill the National Guard if they don't let them through. That's what they're going to do.
They're not going to do that, Chloe. That's a little far-fetched. But
You know how many country people I've heard in the past say they're not afraid to shoot soldiers if the soldiers enter property or any officials. They won't, they don't care if it's government agents. They'll shoot them because it's their property. They don't want to give it.
problem is it isn't escalated to that part. They're talking about martial law in general. And if martial law, I think that's the only way they can take guns away. But don't quote me, okay? We're not getting that far for self-defense yet. But let me tell you this. The other essential businesses that as viruses are spreading is the truck drivers. They're basically getting sick literally on the grounds that they have to deliver packages and food to people. Fortunately, what you need to do is basically contain this. And that means that the government does have to come up with a plan in case people in states can't open right away because they're not comfortable going back to work, or the virus will spike, or there's not enough testing kits. Then what? They got to come up with a backup plan. I mean, right now, no one has any ideas. They're just like, oh, well, we can do it in phases. But the thing is right now, restaurants that can open are open only for takeout. Pharmacies are only there for takeout. Gas stations, you can go in and get gas or food. That's fine. Grocery stores are the only thing. So if you look at it, what they're saying is the non-essential workers, all right? What they're claiming is non-essential workers is if you look at the big map, okay, in my opinion, it's a broad spectrum word for various categories. For example, you see pet stores. Pet stores that sell pet foods for small animals like rabbits. They're essential. Has anyone seen the bunny? The bunny's cute, by the way. Then you have people that are grocery employees. Ben Stein says everyone's clamoring for grocery workers. The thing is, they're not. I went to websites like Walmart, Target. They're not even hiring. So I don't know what Ben Stein's saying, but oh well. Now, we're talking about testing, okay, and the economy. Thing is it's at a grinding halt. They got to have a backup plan. They don't. Testing kits are essential to get people back to work. So right now they're planning for a longer than delayed than expected. But at the same time, what is considered non-essential, okay? Well, non-essential. Someone wanting to go into a sporting goods store, buy a gun. Non-essential. Buy lanterns. Non-essential. Camping gear. Non-essential. But if you look at other essential places, okay, let's talk about our island, hypothetically, okay? Okay, so non-essential. Restaurants that sell wine and candy, non-essential. Coffee shops, non-essential. Unless you have a drive-through or takeout window, non-essential. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Pet stores, essential. Souvenir shops, non-essential. Whale watching boats, non-essential. A lot of restaurants closed until further notice due to the fact that they don't have a way to do takeout, or they could, but I guess some of these owners of these restaurants want to stay non-essential. The brewery, non-essential. They could do takeout. Apparently, they do takeout like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's their takeout times. I heard rumors that they actually let people sit down there from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's what I heard. But I don't know if it's true. So then you have the pharmacy. They're essential, but they're making it to takeout only. So look at the big picture and the whole big market. What is essential? What is not essential? Hardware stores, essential. Oh yeah, if your toilet breaks, you need to buy a new toilet. They're essential. Thing is they're making it so most of these companies that I have seen are essential. Literally, they're essential. I mean, look at 50% of the workforce in the state, they're essential. So if you're looking at the big picture, right, the non-essentials, like the restaurant workers that can't work because, they don't have a program for takeout. They can put together a takeout program. Fortunately, with the economy, no one's buying food out anyway. So here's the deal. Some people are just buying a meal here and there once in a while, but most people, the non-essential places that I've seen, we have a massage parlor, we have, other things. The mental health place, that's non-essential, supposedly. I don't know if they're open or not, but look at the big picture. Non-essentials means a whole umbrella of things, right? Oh, car dealers should sell only by appointment only. Auto shops are essential. People that repair boats, engines, and stuff are essential. Oh, yes. Well, let's get to the boating part of this essential problem, okay, with the economy. If you own a boat and your boat is essential, let's just say you live on a 200-foot yacht, right? It's essential. Now, that's fine and dandy, but here's the freaking problem with your essential. You should be moored in a slip or berth. You should be basically pulling out a port every time you get your supplies and live off a boat in the middle of nowhere with the anchor down, not communicating with you. Then pull into a port and be like, oh, I'm here for groceries. Our island basically says if you own a boat and you live on your boat and you come in for groceries and then you go back and leave the harbor, you're jeopardizing yourself and others more so by basically going and living on a boat out to sea. Plain and simple. So what does that mean? Yacht companies aren't essential. Close them. Storage shed places, oh, they're essential because you got to put stuff in storage. Keep them closed. I mean, the umbrella for non-essential things are, Eventually, you're going to see the storage shed companies be seeing people liquidating this extra stuff in storage to make a living. But people won't be buying stuff in storage unless they're got extra money laying around to buy, because these people in storage sheds are going to, try to sell. Now, if they can't sell and they can't make the storage payment, the storage company gets the stuff, and then what happens? They try to have an auction. But if no one's buying, the entire storage shed business goes down the toilet. Do your math. Well, people sit there and say, oh, the small term effects is not the long term. But if you look at the long term effects of it, it could basically cripple things. For example, people when houses fail, everyone will try to run to subsidized housing. Those are full. They'll have to build more subsidized housing, but that'll take a long while. Construction companies can probably get one done in 3 months if they have the right team to build. Fortunately, what happens? Again, construction companies will only do jobs that they know they can get paid. But if there's no money to build new apartments and there's no money to buy things, you're going to see a lot of people living in tents. If they have money for an RV, RV dealerships are at a grinding halt too. Pretty much people that are thinking about downsizing their house and living in a trailer to get by, that's a good idea. Unfortunately, think of the problem. Okay, where are you going to put it? Most RV places are full. Most campsites, full. State parks and national parks, closed. Literally, look at it from a big picture. You buy a trailer, where are you going to live? On the side of the road? Some homeless guy might just break in, take it for himself. Literally, you don't know how bad the economy is going to get. They're doing a by appointment only, And because they're doing by appointment only, they're considered essential. I'm sorry, but an RV place is not essential. Places that sell yachts, it's essential. No one's got the money to go and buy a yacht. People say, oh, the market will rebound. Maybe in time, but right now, this is not the time to think about buying a yacht or a motorhome or a travel trailer or a van or whatever. This is a time to hoard your money. Literally, hoard it. People need to hoard every dime that's not nailed down because they don't know when their next meal is going to be. Now, if you lose your house, I'm sorry to say this, but it's going to happen, and it saddens me. The people are going to lose their houses because banks won't want to defer the foreclose and think they can sell the house. But while they're sitting in their banks can basically see. The depression also has an effect on a lot of different things. Recession or depression. If you're in a recession, your credit might go to crap. If it goes into a depression, you're going to see a lot more problems happen too, like the bank, right? And the banks are the big answer. And that is that the banks, when foreclosed, have so much liquidable houses, I call it assets that they're holding on to, foreclosures, that if no one's buying houses, even if they do it pennies to the dollar or a dollar, really dirt cheap, they're not going to recover their losses, and those banks will go under. Which means you'll see like a 1929 bank crash again because they're holding on to too much assets and they can't sell because no one's buying. When the banks go under, the big banks, but a lot of banks already lost 50% of their stock, okay, in the last like 12 to 24 months. It's a fact. Check it out. That they're going to be hurting severely. And what happens? The banks are going to be hurting to no end. And they'll lose. Then where are you going to hold your money? Your Social Security checks will have to go to Direct Express. And Comerica comes in and gets more business, which means they might be the only bank that's not getting bailed out. Now, I know Ben Stein says they can just go bail out the banks again, but do you think the government wants to bail out banks when the government allowed so many houses to be built? And there's already completed houses in the housing market. People are, literally. Look at it that way. And so, from my point of view, everyone is going to be suffering to no end. I feel sorry for you all. I mean, with no one spending money, houses might be foreclosed, people might be evicted from their apartments, the retail market bombed, everything's failing. You can see where it's looking right now. It's looking gloom, but it might pick up. It also depends on if people get comfortable to go back to work once they have plenty of testing kits. Right now, we don't even know where we're getting our testing kits or how many. They say we need to have millions tested daily. I mean, right now, if there's 205 million people working and 22 million unemployed, that would leave 205. That's 100 and 205. 15 minus 15 million is 200. So you're looking at approximately like 194 people still working supposedly. That's not a bad number, in my opinion. Let's look it up. 205 minus 22, about 22 million. So 183 million people are still working. I mean, literally. Even if it's part-time, that number is pretty good and stable. So it hasn't hit a 50% mark where 102,500,000 people are unemployed. That would be really bad right now. So right now you're looking at approximately 13 to 15% unemployment, which isn't bad. That people can rebound, but if it goes under, and people, a lot of people right now are working at home, but some companies might not be able to pay much longer to stay at home because, the economy's hurting them. So they might have to cut corners, lay off people, and so to me, it looks pretty bad. Literally, it looks worse than worse can be. And I think we need to look at it from all angles. Look at it from that point of view. How bad is it going to be? It looks right now bad because you got 22 million people, and the numbers are going to go up next week, just like the daily numbers go up for the coronavirus. And the unemployment rate will go up, like I said. The retail market will drop again. And when people do get an influx of cash, the grocery stores will be bare. So you got to think of it that way. And then eventually, people that say the essential businesses are open might not even be open unless contractors can actually get back to work, which means hardware stores might stay afloat. But once this hits to a turning point, you're going to see like Ace and True Value and Lowe's cut corners, and Home Depot. Then what? Then you're going to see other things happen. People are going to sit there and hold back on their business expenses, like buying a new computer for their work or other things to make things last a little longer, unless they truly need it. Or they might be able to get a technician to fix it cheaper. So there you have it. It's not just one market will hit, it will be a lot. The housing market will fail if they don't get it contained. The apartment complexes, they'll get tanked too. Evictions will go up. The markets will suffer. Then businesses that have private businesses will go under. They can't build because, no one wants a new house. No one wants to remodel. So they're out of a job. Unemployment goes up. Then the other problems happen is factories right now shut down because of coronavirus, which means your meat prices will go up. Your fish processing things will go up. Some people that buy frozen shrimp, for example, shrimp cocktails, shrimp scampi, etc., those will go through the roof because a lot of it's from Thailand. And if they can't ship out to other consumers, they don't have a way to survive. Which means food prices will go through the roof, which means some people will have to cut corners on the food bill, eat less. be malnutrition. Retail companies won't be able to stay in business because no one's buying. And so you're going to see companies fail, like Sears, Target, stuff like that. Target has grocery stores, but people aren't going into stores physically and they want to order online and only go to get their basics like milk, eggs, bacon, cheese, and meats. Then everything else can be purchased online, which means the online market might be able to stave itself off for a while. But eventually, those channels will dry up because everyone will be out of 340 million people. Let's just say the unemployment rate keeps going through the roof. More people will be buying their groceries online, which means the grocery supply chains online that makes like Chef Boyardee, ramen and stuff will be sold out. Coffee will start to go out. Then you're going to see a global market problem where every other online place online that has got their businesses under control, other countries might be able to open their stores, but us, we might just tank because we're relying solely on shipping. And what happens if all these items get bought out, right? And no one's buying anything else, video games, music, movies, Apple gift cards, so forth, so on. What happens? Then what happens with that? No one survives. Then you see the shipping companies slow down. Then shipping companies like UPS and FedEx, which owns airplanes, they won't be able to make their Boeing payments or Airbus payments, and they lose their planes. And then the countries will have to bail them out, or the U.S. will have to bail out those companies before thinking about the citizens. And then it goes into a continuous cycle of bailing out companies to keep them propped up while the citizens don't have the jobs and the citizens don't have the money. And so it just goes into a continuous cycle where eventually, like Chloe said, big business might just basically fail. They'll fail. Why will they fail? Because they'll fail. They'll fail because there's not enough money going into the market. They can print all the money they want, but if they keep printing all the money they want, that demonetizes the money value in our currency, which means our money is worthless. You might as well just go and change your name to the Amiro, which is like Canadian and Mexico and say South America, and combine all the incomes together and change the currency, because frankly, the government is having trouble. And that's the real problem. Again, the real problem is the government is they can make money, they do money, and they print money. It doesn't help the citizens when you keep putting more money in the markets and no one's buying anything. Again, it just basically tanks. People will, that would mean more stimulus checks. And if they gave $2,400, that won't last long. Then they'd say, oh, well, we'll have to do a third stimulus because the virus peaked up again. It hit a second wave. Let's just say second wave hit later this year and then a third year early next year. That means they still got to prop the economy up. And that means it demonetizes the money. And it also does a number on other things. The people that can't get their items shipped into the country, like TVs, Switches, PS4s, Xboxes, music CDs and stuff. A lot of people go digital anyways, but they're going to be basically looking for their next meal and not thinking about the entire container. Let's just say a container ship full of Nintendo Switches. Let's just say 10 million Switches. They're not going to sell. And if they don't sell, what happens? People suffer. People suffer to no end. So, got another comment. You got a pain pill? I always keep pain pills on hand, in case I'm in pain. So, ibuprofen, Tylenol, etc. But that's the other thing. People will start going and being in pain because they can't buy over-the-counter meds. So, you do the math. I mean, this is not just something where it will affect one sector. It will affect them all. The commercial market for your food, they're throwing away food right now. They can sell it at the food bank, but right now they're throwing away commercial milk and egg packages and foods. The commercial toilet paper, people are starting to find ways to backdoor so they can buy commercial TP to keep at home. And literally, If you look at the big picture, people are going to be watching what they spend, because if ships can't bring in your fresh fruits and produce, and sometimes meat, and other things, then what happens? I mean, look at states. Some states can't even ship out products. I was talking to someone who said that they wanted a new fly rod and they couldn't get it because no one's shipping the fly rods out. Shipping's at a complete grinding halt. Some people are taking pre-orders for games, but the game companies email and say, we can guarantee your pre-orders will be secure, but we can't guarantee when you're going to get your shipments, because we're not a big company. We're a small company, and we ship out through a different warehouse. And if our warehouse workers are all at home, they can ship out the new games coming out. So look at the entire coronavirus causing a problem market for people that do concerts and Comic-Cons and cosplay cons and like ICAST, which is a convention for fishing gear, or E3, the gaming convention. They're going to have to do their gaming convention online. But the problem with the gaming convention online is there's a lot of game companies like IGN, GameSpot, Game Informer that won't even get to test the games out to tell people if it's even worth their money because of it. And then the game companies might be so frugal that they might not even send game testing digital downloads or even physical copies to people on YouTube to review because they don't want to pay the shipping. They're hurting too. So they're penny pinching by saying, well, we can't help you. And then they say, oh, this game's good. Or they might produce a magazine, like send a copy to IGN or Game Informer and say, please test it. And they'll test it, that way. You'll read it about it online. But here's the other problem with online. Part of the online community. Now, big companies like Amazon, Target, Walmart, they'll stay in business because they can ship stuff. But if they run out of groceries and everything else in their warehouse is at a stalemate, they're in trouble. Now, I'll tell you what else happens. If no one's buying anything, the markets that they are buying stuff from, say, food, they're going to raise the prices to cover their website costs. So while people are sitting there utilizing the internet, eventually they might have to cut the internet because they can't afford the internet. But that means they have to look at other ways to get their groceries, farmers markets, bartering, etc. Problem is again, it's going to tank to no end. And because of it, people will be very frugal. And if they have to raise the prices to cover website costs, you're going to see that happen too because, and what about these people that review games, right? Like IGN, they get a free copy. They might get it, but then they might have to start charging a subscription fee to, say, IGN or some of these other places. They rely on donations to keep their website going because they can't maintain their website because new games are coming out or other issues. So what happens? Everyone suffers. You do the math, everyone. This is going to basically not be a trickle-down effect. This is going to be a catastrophic effect if it goes this way because you're going to see a lot of stuff happen. And people actually took advantage of the internet for years. In the past, mom-and-pop businesses went out under because of internet. I talked to a guy that owns, several owners that sell camera equipment, online. They're not essential. You can order, but the warehouse is not doing things. So they have the product ready to go and they can open their warehouse, but they're closed due to the virus. So they can't ship. So you might have a $400 camera waiting for you and can't do it. You might have to cancel your order. Make sure you eat. Problem is the economy is hitting. I mean, literally. Some people get free cameras given by the companies. They're going to be basically restructuring and saying, no, we're not giving you a $2,000 camera to review to keep because that's $2,000 we can make later. Some of these companies that make big ticket items, I want to pay you to pay attention, might not even be in business next year. I mean, literally, with the economy hurting and the shipping industry hurting, some warehouses that have new items coming out of China are on hold. Some companies ship things out of Thailand, like Nikon. Japan, they might be on hold. They might have a huge warehouse of crap, but they can't move it because no one's buying. So what happens? They might liquidate it dirt cheap, and that's it. Let me tell you another thing that people have taken advantage of, okay? When the crisis happened and people were changing over to digital, people bought digital converters for their analog TVs. Their analog TVs eventually failed, ended up in the dump and stuff, but people started buying new digital TVs. Problem is, in this day and age, the government should have kept the analog system as a backup for people that didn't want to go digital because of there's a lot of digital products or non-digital products that can still be reused today. That's worthless. If they had to go back 50 years because of this economy problem and go analog, say analog cell phones, it's fine by me. You have to go analog TVs. At least you can carry Walkman with you, or as Raymond would say, definitely the Watchman. Definitely the Watchman. You can bring your little Casio with you, but now they won't. They don't have a portable TV that you can take with you that actually works without having it in one position with the antenna that stands in one position to use. So portable TVs are pretty useless unless you're camping, and then you just pluck it, whatever. People might have to go that route, cut their entire entertainment off and buy a portable TV with a little antenna to get free digital antenna TV to watch their TV shows and stuff so they can cut corners. That might be something you might have to live with for 3 or 4 years. They might have to buy a digital antenna that works. Get one of those high quality ones so they can get digital TVs, so they can get their news every night without paying for a streaming subscription. You're going to see in the future, if this doesn't get fixed, like I said, streaming services will become to a grinding halt because people will have to choose streaming service or food. And that goes with other people. I mean, literally. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there that just want their money to spend. And, you got to look at it from this point of view. Even if you prop up the economy for a month and say $2 billion goes into the video game sector or the computer market or the electronic market, they're still going to turn around and go in the red because they're not moving a lot of products because warehouses are full. No one's buying. People are being frugal. Literally, people are being frugal, and they have to be because they don't know what's going to happen in the future. So you do the math. It's not a trickle-down effect. If the container ships aren't moving in, that's a sign. If airlines can't move product, that's a sign. If warehouse can't move products, that's a sign. You're going to see big companies either cut retail completely altogether in physical stores and go all online, and then online stores will fail because no one's buying because of penny pinching. That entitles the big ticketed item, not just your TVs and stuff. They're going to make things last. Like, if you have extra money, buy a freezer. Fill it up. Freezer will come in handy in the future. Other big ticketed items you want to buy, if you have the money, is boats, campers, travel trailers, fifth wheels. Unless you plan to live in them, then you better have a site to put it on. If you're going to liquidate everything, buy a piece of property and live in the desert in a little trailer, and that's your way of survival, so be it. Problem is, again, you got to look at the economy. Let me put it to you this way with the economy also that made this happen, because in the past, people would buy things, right? Watchmakers would make a new watch model every year. The old one was outdated, or, people said, oh, this is a nice watch, it works, don't buy a new one. People would put their wristwatch on and use it till either it stopped being allowed to be wound up, or they needed a new battery or whatever, or the battery stopped being made, so they had to get a new item. The economy the market's been flooded with multiple items. Let's go with the 80s, for example. When the 80s came, 70s, let's start with the 70s. They had like 20 different versions of Pong. They had like the Intellivision, ColecoVision, Atari 2652, 7800. And in the 80s, it was the Sega Master System and the NES. In the 90s, it was 3DO and the NEC's Turbo Express, Turbo Duo, Turbo Graphics 16 system, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast. Dreamcast bombed, so Sega started making games. Nintendo's had their market shares of stuff, but they keep bringing out new products. Gaming companies at least bring out a new system every 5 to 7 years, so it's okay. But when you get someone who basically comes up with some new technology like the 200-inch curved TV that's 8K, well, how many people can support 8K or 4K? I mean, literally, people are still using TVs from 5-6 years ago that support 1080p, 1080i, 480p, stuff like that, 720p. Laptops are going 720 and higher. Look at the big picture. They're saturating the market with so many new products that they can't sell. So then they liquidate their sales for newer models for the next year. And that is where it gets bad. I mean, when you get the markets being saturated, well, 500 different types of laptops and 10,000 different types of desktop computers. And you got to ask yourself, one time, day or age, everyone wanted the portable DVD player. The first one was the Panasonic. Then others came out with it to match it, lower the price. Guess what happened? Things happened. Prices went down on them. But now you don't see people talking about the portable DVD player. They, etc. They're taking out optical drives on computers for digital downloads only. Again, doesn't that make sense? No, it doesn't. They're trying to take out optical drives so everyone goes digital, but people aren't ready for digital. And with the economy saturated with DVDs and Blu-rays, you can get them for $1, $2 new. Have a nice collection, physical copies. Digital might be good, but what if the digital market comes to a grinding halt and they have to cut corners by cutting out your digital library of books and music and movies that you purchase? And then they say, oh, we have to go belly up because we can't provide those anymore. Then what happens? You've invested in a digital market. You lost your digital collection because they can't guarantee your digital collection will be there. Then what? You're back at square one trying to physical copies. There's a lot of people that are talking about selling their physical copies because the economy is hurting and they need food. So if you look at the big picture, everyone is hurting. And if shipping companies aren't coming in, airline companies aren't shipping stuff, and they're not talking about any timeline for when they can lift. They're talking about timelines, but they're not actually doing it for lifting the stay-at-home order. You're going to basically see people staying home, which means they're going to be utilizing the internet more, online ordering more. Eventually, those all will dry up. And then what? They go under. It's just a matter of time. We'll have to go back to the old ways. Writing letters, snail mail. I mean, everyone thought email was great. Oh, some people get their bills sent by email, and then all they do is go to a portal and pay. It's good and dandy, but they can't afford the internet. Then these companies need to go back to the old ways of charging a little people extra for paper bills. Invoices. Yeah. So you can see how I'm kind of worried because with everything going down the toilet, people don't realize how bad this is. The unemployment rate keeps going up and they can't open businesses up. You're going to see more food being bought only and all these luxury items being stopped. Look at the people buying new cars. They might have to sit there and say, well, we only need one car in the family right now because we're not all working and gas prices are low, so we'll sell a car or a truck. Then what? people are going to realize that they're going to have to sell things that they don't want to cut costs and to survive. And that brings us to the other problem. Remember when I said the government could just keep printing money to get us out of this? If they keep doing it, that demonetizes the dollar. But that also demonetizes everything you buy. Things might just go down in price unless supply and demand's up on food. Then food goes up. But everything else goes down. Your car prices are high through the roof because a lot of people finance cars, trailers, motorhomes. They might not finance them. So the RV lots are basically stuck with a lot of RVs that can't move, which include travel trailers, fifth wheels, campers, tent trailers. Automobile companies, they might not be able to sustain themselves because they aren't getting the sales they need. They might just sit there and sell no items. Plain and simple. They might not sell anything. They might have to cut corners too and lower the pricing on their cars. They're making money because they're union workers. They might have to lay off the union workers or not make 20 different types of cars. They might have to make 3 or 4 or less, or make one type of car, 2 types of cars. Problem is they're going to have to restructure everything to make things work. If you bring out too many products, you're going to see the market saturated, stores filled up with useless crap, and no one buying it. So they're just wasting space on something not buying. Rumor has it there's too much camping gear out on the market, new. No one's buying it. Why? Because no one's going camping. The economy says no camping. People that sit there and like to buy new fly rods. Fly rod companies might have to cut their production in half or 3/4 and only make a few at a time, not mass produce these things and say, oh, yes, we have this, they might have to cut corners. Fishing companies. Boat companies might need to do the same. I heard there's like 500 different types of boats and yachts out in the market. Time to cut corners. They might have to cut and only make what's really essential, what their best items are, and get rid of the other markets. I mean, look at it this way. Remember I said big ticket items. What does that mean exactly? Well, simple. Big ticket items is even buying a private yacht or a private jet. Right now, the markets aren't there. They'll be there eventually, but right now the consumers aren't buying because the market is dead. Now, Chloe said earlier, big businesses are being bailed out. They are. They're being bailed out. I got to put this in the fridge so it doesn't go to waste. Big businesses are going to waste. Why are they going to waste? I'll tell you why. Because they want their workers back to work now. When the economy is at a grinding halt. So what do? The government goes and bails them out, but doesn't help the struggling families. They're like, oh, the big business comes first because they provide for people for jobs. But if 22 million people are out of work since the virus closed doors, what if next week it's 32 million people and it keeps rising? Then what? Government will just keep bailing these companies out, hoping like heck. Eventually, they might have to basically say, we can't help you, fail. And say, let's just say hypothetically, the auto industry fails. The airline industry fails. The cruise line industry fails. Cruise line industry fails. They don't need to buy more elaborate cruise liners because they're not making money. The small airline industry that makes private jets, they go under. Why? Because no one's buying. And people sit there and these big corporations want to live comfortably. Then mansions don't get sold. And then regular houses don't get sold. And then the housing market fails. And then people want into subsidized housing or low-income housing, and they can't. So everything trickles down to a big explosion to what happens. Whereas other countries, they're working everything out to get everything working together. But here, their priority is, let's bail the businesses out and hope like hell everyone goes back to work. But where's the testing equipment? You started manufacturing the testing equipment and had companies put in the testing equipment while working on a vaccine for this virus. We might be better off getting better, but instead, you're going to look at this entire thing implode. And when it does, people are going to see the stock market go The only thing working for them is the commodities market. But as I call it, the pork, the chicken, and the beef prices might go up. People might stop eating beef, pork, and chicken. So what happens? The farmers have to still pay for the feed. When they can't make money off the meats, they're going to start eating them for themselves, and they might have to foreclose or let their farms go under. So it's a bigger thing. It's not just about the retail market. It's also about the food market, the farmers. We rely on farmers to produce our foods. We rely on farmers around the world to bring in the vegetables and the fruits. If they don't come in, that just cuts the market in half. Then if we can't get canned goods produced fast enough, that hurts the people. People go malnutrition. When all you can do is basically protect yourselves by doing what you need to do. There you have it. So before you sit there and say full of beans, look at the numbers. Check out Google. Check out YouTube. You'll see a lot of great videos out there about the economy. And the economy is basically tanking. There's people out there that say, we're already on the road to depression. Possibly true. And that's something that scares me. And why does it scare me? Like I said, everything is tanking. If we can't get the consumers to buy, then they're only going to buy the necessities that everyone else around suffers. Then the unemployment rate goes through the roof when physical stores go out of business. People start buying their phones online. But when people don't want to upgrade their phones for 2 or 3 years or more, then the phone companies slowly go business. Too much product on the market today with so many different phones and price points, it is failed. Not everyone can go and afford a $1,200 iPhone or a $1,500 Android. They need to realize that the economy is stalled with too much product too. And we consume so much when people sit, and they say, oh, Americans want a diversity of religions, which is great, economies, which are great, and price points. That's where it gets really bad, the price points. Literally, price points shouldn't be price points. We should have, people shouldn't be taking their $1,200 check. I've seen it on websites. Talking about buying a $1,200 G. Loomis fly rod. You can't eat with that fly rod unless you're an expert at fly fishing to get the fish. Otherwise, you'll be going hungry. So my point is if you have to sit there and survive, okay? Here's my final point. Spend your money for survival. Do not spend it on a $1,200 fly rod. Pay your bills and survive. Be frugal. If a company says we need consumers to keep our business propped up, like buying useless junk, fly rods, video games, whatever. I mean, I support the gaming industry. Actually, I do. But let them go under. If the airlines completely go under because no one's flying, because they don't feel comfortable taking vacations in this country or out of the country because the coronavirus, then let them fail. I mean, literally, a lot of people don't fly anymore. People said, oh, it's the biggest market ever. No, it isn't. People can't afford to spend $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in a cruise and then spend $2,000, $3,000 in drinks and cigars and snacks and food. They don't have the income. They don't have any of it. Let them fail. The cruise liners fails. That means you put too much money into bigger cruise line ships, which you can still use to transport crap. You can turn around and use it to transport goods. You can still turn it around to make it into a shipping company. Unfortunately, these people think vacations are important. Right now, vacations aren't important. What is important? Survival. And that means not going out and stockpiling 500,000 guns. You want a gun? You don't have a gun? Maybe look into buying one. Maybe one. Otherwise, don't bother. Another thing is, and I don't support that right now, the guns. But, for example, if you're worried about everything, be frugal, penny pinch. Just remember, cash is going to not be the norm. People are going to find the cash to be useless. With this virus going rampant, not many people will give cash or take cash. And when they do, it's got to go through some special decontamination process before they take it to the bank. and the bank has to decontaminate it. So it's basically a big problem. All right. Anyways, with that said, everyone, basically, like I said, if companies fail and they're basically griping that you have to support them, think of it this way. There's always an alternative. If you have to cut out your streaming service and go with a digital antenna, that's an option. If you have to keep playing your current video games until this crisis is over, that's an option. If you have to cut out your streaming services completely to survive, that's an option. If you have to cut out your internet to survive, that's an option. There's always options to cut your expenses to survive. Some people have to think about the future because they don't know when they're, if you have to stand in line for 6 hours at the food bank, that's an option. Thing is everyone is hurting. Do your distancing, like I said, social distancing, but just remember, you might have to think about your family first and your finances and cut corners. Your kids will understand. Just talk to them. And just remember, this is a problem that can be fixed if we have hope and faith. If we don't have faith and the economy takes a big nosedive, I'm telling you, we as in people aren't at fault, okay? Bailing out big companies and not giving people their stimulus checks, that's a problem. But remember, they're trying to keep the economy going by keeping these businesses open so they can get you your products. Now, if these people get sick and they lose employees and they have to hire more employees and those people get sick, then you realize that it's the big businesses forcing something when they shouldn't. They should just let it go, all right? So, anyways, I hope I make complete sense. Just look at the news, keep up with it. You'll see if the economy is going to rebound or not. A lot of people are afraid because the unemployment's going through the roof. Food supplies, toiletries are going off faster than they can be brought in, and no one's buying big ticketed items. Now, if you know how to balance everything properly, you'll be fine. Just remember that. Balance your budget properly. Make sure to cut corners when you can. You'll do fine. And don't spend foolishly. Don't spend foolishly on anything. If you have a shoe fetish or you have a shoe collection, cut your shoes out. If you have a collection of bras or panties, cut it down. Think about your meals before. If you have other things, just think about it. What's more important right now? Groceries or that latest comic book or video game or video card or TV or yacht or airplane? Think about it. Economy will rebound in time if you just give it time. But if you guys sit there and allow companies to fail, then it's not your fault. You had to think about yourself and you had to think about your family and you had to survive. Survival is the key right now. Stay safe, everyone. My bath is calling me. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. And please add and subscribe. Please post comments. Please leave feedback, suggestion. Hit that like and subscribe button so some fun for the family, including your dogs or cats or bunnies. Thanks for watching, everyone. God bless you and everything you do. And I will make a new update tomorrow for you all. Thank you. And have a great day. Stay safe. Distance yourself. And be frugal.